All right, welcome to the show. I am David Wilcock. This is David Wilcock Live here on YouTube. And if you have YouTube Premium, then you don't have to deal with any commercials and you just get to watch the show, have a great time. It's well worth it. So I want to thank you for being here today. I'm your host, David Wilcock, and we have another action-packed show waiting for you guys today. I am so excited about everything that's going on in the world right now. It is a great time to be alive. Disclosure is happening now, and we are very excited. So this is going to be an excellent opportunity for us to talk about the cosmic battle that is being waged for your soul. That is the topic for today, and it is great to be here. Let's dig into some of your comments. We always like to open up the show a little bit with that. Mr. 4961, ready for my favorite Sunday show from the Canary Islands. Hello, everybody. Love you, David. We have Jason Baker, howdy from Israel. Kristen Klein, hello from Ohio. Ross Feinstein, age of disclosure, yeah. Midnight Mark says, behold a true form of male prowess. The man's plumage is vibrant, the standard by which I judge myself. My plumage. Okay, well, maybe that means my wild hair, which, you know, I just, busyness and everything, I let it grow out. It's really getting more wild, but it's good for the winter, dude. It is cold here. It's 21 degrees outside. It is a really cold day. Crystal Sweetshoe says hello from Switzerland. Barry Nkosek says Pittsburgh says hi. Jenny Parbury, hi from Australia. Biddy Billy, hi from Ireland. We have an international audience here. Marcy Ridings, hello from Arkansas. Ross Feinstein, it's true, Tramma has been severely lacking. Hey, if you want to talk to your Tramma, all you had to do was ask. You know, I'm out here, I'm trying to get my life together, I'm trying to find the grandbabies, you know, the Tran babies. They're always running around on these kids. You can't figure out where they're going. It's the holidays, they got all these things they're trying to do. If you look to your Tramma for advice, I would say just slow down, kids. Try to lie down or something. Just try to relax a little bit because, man, this is crazy. You can't be running around the house all the time like you're freaking crazy, okay? Try to slow down a little bit. There you go. A little bit of Tramma action for you. We had to do that. 3-Eye Atlas broke up into 16 pieces. Everybody's laughing now. We got lots of laughter icons coming in. KJ says 3-Eye Atlas broke into 16 pieces. I hadn't heard about that. But love from London. Your Tramma loves you. Mwah, mwah. Oh my God, I burned myself. Paul Cannon. 7 geometric thought forms. Oh, I missed some donations here. Sorry about that, everybody. Tom Roberts, 1505, donated 111. Well, let's go back to this. 111 Australian dollars. G'day, young Dave. Can't stay, mate. Got to go to work. Just a quote from a fictional ET. We are not going to be great. We are not going to be amazing. We are going to be amazingly amazing. Love to all. So thank you, Tom Roberts. That is awesome. I'll give you a thumbs up there. I guess I got to write something here. I can't get out. Get out of there. Who else did we miss here? We had a few of them, okay? So there was, oh, that was the one I got. And then we got this one here, which is R.W. Phoenix. He said he donated $222. That is incredible. Thank you guys so much. It is literally keeping me alive. Sorry I had to change my handle a couple times due to problems myself with trolls. Thank you for all you do, David. Your truth and wisdom is the message we all need to hear. May peace, love, and light be unto you and us all. Namaste. Well, thank you very much, R.W. Phoenix. We have Kaylin Robinson. So happy to be here today, working on finding the harmony in the midst of chaos. He donated $20, and I think we got it there. So who else do we have here? Let's see. Did I miss anybody? No, we just got those 3 so far, so that is awesome. Dang it, Crystal Waters says, I missed Tramma. There might be another round, but you know, we keep it flowing, we keep it live, and it's all good. So I want to thank you guys again for being here today. Love and gratitude from Sweden, says David Appelgren. I have a feeling like this winter will be crazy. Well, it certainly will be. So anyway, there's a lot to talk about, man. This is a very exciting time to be alive. There is so much going on in the world, and there is indeed a cosmic battle going on for your soul. So I'm thinking that the best way we can talk about this is just to dig right in and roll up our sleeves. Sirius Exaudo says, blessings from La Palma, Isla Magica, David and all beautiful souls. All right. Hey, Tramma, the NFL scripted? Hi. You know, I wondered about that. I wondered about that quite a bit because those guys, they're running around, they're causing trouble on the field. You don't know what the hell is going on. You can't always tell what's happening. So yeah, sometimes I wonder a little bit about the NFL, you know, like, is it rigged? Is it real? What's really going on there? I don't know. That's just, we'll talk about that another time, but you all kvetch amongst yourselves for right now. Hi, David. Thank you for everything, says Little Tiny Joe 1. That is great. You guys are all laughing again. Prince Royal says, hello, David. I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving dinner with Tramma, Galian, Colin McGeezer, Angry Daddy at the head of the table, much like the clumps from the Nutty Professor. That's right. Spencer Hale had to make another account because he couldn't get into the chat, but he's all good now. Okay, that's good. Glad to hear that. All right, let me roll up my sleeves. I overdressed here in case it got too warm, or too cold rather, downstairs. And now instead of that, it's actually a little bit too warm, so gotta make sure that I have the right apparel for the encounter that I'm giving you guys here. And maybe I'll even have to take off my base layer here in a minute, but no, we're good so far. Everything is good so far. I could not find anywhere in your books explanation for how the infinite vacuum of space does not suck out our atmosphere. Well, I would imagine that's gravity holding the atmosphere in place, but, you know, call me crazy. Anyway, yeah, I definitely made sure that I would not be cold, and now I'm a little bit warm, but throughout the day, I think this is all going to turn into something very positive. So I just started my little backup recording there. We got that going now, and life is good. So -7 this morning here, says Gene Novacek. Wow, that's a lot worse than usual. David is stripping down. That's right. I wanted to make sure that I was not going to be too cold, and instead now I'm definitely warm. So we'll just take it one step at a time. If I have to, look out, David's going to strip, says Linda Kiesling. Somebody should turn David's characters into a movie script. David, today I'm waiting for some very bombastic news. All right, well, let's get into that news. First of all, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I know how precious your time is. It really matters very much to me that you're here. I want to say that from the bottom of my heart. I'm very, very grateful for your presence. So yes, we have some very, very big news going on, folks. I understand now that disclosure is moving at warp drive speed, and that is a very, very exciting development for all of us. When we start learning what's really going on in the cosmos, disclosure is going to change everything. Disclosure is going to make everything that we thought we knew up until that moment seem like it was obsolete. It changes everything about our lives on Earth, changes everything about society. All the questions that we used to ask are going to now be different questions. There's going to be different answers. There's going to be a whole new array of things to think about. Nothing can prepare us for the moment that we actually get an official announcement, okay? That's the way I take it. It's always been my perspective. Linda Korsiak says, this is the high point of my week. Well, thank you very much. And wow, we're only 10 minutes in. We've already got 1,794 concurrent viewers going on right now and nearly $400 of chat revenue. So let's keep those super chats rolling in. If you can donate, that would be great. And your divine beacon called, let me out. It says, when will people start freaking out? That's a good question. I mean, this is, you know, it's one thing for everybody to be wondering what the truth is, but when you find out that we really are not alone and that we're being visited by extraterrestrials, it's going to change society in ways that I don't think anybody can really foresee. So the best that we can do is to just try to stay positive and anticipate trend lines and anticipate, you know, what is this going to turn into? And how is this going to affect us as a society? I feel like Mr. Rogers with boys and girls, you know, taking my shoes on, taking my shoes off, whatever. But I think I've got it dialed in now. We're doing well. So hello from Australia, Katrina Hall. Yes, David of S.H.I.E.L.D. Sleeping Prophet. Yep, the Edgar Casey past life lineage is part of what I've got going here. We're already up to 1,867 concurrent viewers. Thank you guys for being here. So yes, Disclosure is moving at warp drive speed because of the film Age of Disclosure, which, yes, it does come from this group that's been doing this for years now. It started with Tom DeLonge. I heard about it at the Disclosure Project in 2001. All the way back then, Dr. Greer was saying that Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 was going to be doing something disclosure-oriented. And here we are. So Beverly Adams donated $10. Thank you very much. Somebody says he can't hear me. That's Robert W. Carter, but everybody else obviously can. So sorry about that. But anyway, hello from snowy Indiana. We got 7 inches here yesterday. The wind is blowing very hard. Yeah, we've had a lot of wind. I'm really glad that it's not happening right now. It was definitely happening yesterday. It made it very difficult to do everything. But I'm here now. Life is good. Kathy Plant just donated $20. Thank you very much. She says, grateful for you. So the Age of Disclosure film, I got to say, I was really impressed, as I said last week. This is a sizable leap forward. We know the Jury Rigged just donated $50. Thank you very much. And said, we know the battle lines, but what are the rules of engagement? Well, that's a good question. We're going to talk about the rules. We're going to talk about those rules that are defined by cosmic law that really get into the battle for your soul that is happening on a celestial level between negative and positive extraterrestrials. And so as this movement for disclosure comes out from the Age of Disclosure, I want to make sure that we don't lose track of the really important data that's going to factor into everything that we're going to need to know. Why is this so important, you guys? It's important because, as you see in the next slide here, the president himself may be on the verge of making an official announcement about disclosure. You may not like him. I get that. Some people don't. You know, we have a very divided country. So how interesting is it that this could be the way in which disclosure comes about? It's a very divided electorate. We have people on both sides. They have very vigorously held opinions. And so now this is happening. Vacapalo just donated. Good day to you all. Thank you very much. That's awesome. So we're already up to nearly $500 in chat revenue. Thanks. Keep it coming. It's really, really great. So here we go, folks. He may be the one. I got to make sure about keywords, you know. He may be the one to confirm the existence of aliens, or they prefer to be called extraterrestrials, per TMZ. That's from Inside Paper. And then we also had this one from the General. He may announce that aliens exist after being briefed on the base facts about humanity's place in the cosmos, and his team is now deciding how to move forward with the information. It also appeared on this particular news site, as you can see right here. Again, very, very exciting stuff that we're seeing here. So let's read a little bit of that headline as well. And again, let me make sure I'm tuning in with you guys here. Okay, here's a typical opinion. The movie, this is Magritte, Birdsong Priestess. The movie told us little we hadn't already heard before. I wasn't impressed. You got to remember, though, that we're not preaching to ourselves here. We want to see people who don't know anything about this start to learn. And from that perspective, if they haven't been doing their homework, if they haven't been paying attention, the movie hits on a whole bunch of touch points very nicely, and it really does move the ball forward. You know, I still am convinced that there's an agenda there, and I've talked about that before, but still, it's very, very interesting. So let's take a look at this. Documentary filmmaker Dan Farah has boldly predicted that 47 could be the first world leader to spill the beans on UFOs, dropping a major announcement about non-human technology and extraterrestrial intel, sparking a feverish speculation. Is this an engineered hype to divert from global flashpoints, or is it a seismic shift towards transparency? Well, even if, as I've said before, even if somebody is trying to manipulate the narrative, and again, there's a lot of things missing. I believe there's a lot of important parts to the disclosure story and to the UFO story that are not in this movie, but that's okay. We're going to fill them in for you. because you don't just control the narrative with one movie. This is a very complex process. Disclosure is going to involve lots of different pieces of information coming to light. So I get to just sit back in my chair and watch the magic, watch the wheels turn round and round, and understand that this is the moment we've been waiting for a very long time. We've wanted this, we've worked for this, we've worked very hard for this. So give ourselves a big round of applause, everybody. If I was in front of a live audience, give yourselves a big round of applause. This is a moment we can all be proud of. Disclosure is happening, it is happening now, and things are getting more and more exciting as it goes on. So I am very, very happy about what's happening. And Sunny Skies says, if 47 is smart, he will hire you to be on the disclosure team for this. Well, who knows? I think he is smart. No problem there. But, you know, whether he likes me or not is another story. We'll just leave it at that. But I hope he does. I really do feel like I've given everything I can to try to make this whole plan work out and to give us the best future that we can. I've worked very hard, and I'm grateful for what he's doing. It's just a very contentious time. I understand how divided everybody is. At last, oh, we got clap icons. There you go. At last, the disclosure is happening. That's right. So the truth will set you free, says Load Logo. Anyway, yeah, so I'm really grateful to have all this stuff happening in the world right now. It's a very exciting time to be alive. And so it says here, is this a seismic shift towards transparency? Well, either way, whether they are trying to steer the narrative or not, the net effect, I believe, is going to become positive. And the positives outweigh the negatives very dramatically in a case like this, because when we find out that we're not alone, I think it's like a chaos effect. You just can't predict the outcome in advance. You can't predict what's going to happen. Derek D., third time's a charm. It's Derek, grandson of Dan Salter from Greer's Disclosure Project, 2001. Wrote Life with Cosmos Clearance. I still love to discuss with you. Should I connect through Nino Rodriguez? Yes, I have. Thank you very much for donating, and sorry that I haven't been in contact. My life has been extremely busy. I would like to get that going at some point. I just have to find the time to do it. But we're working on it, and we're getting there. We're getting it done. Okay. And somebody said, Carolina Patriot said 47 is about transparency, and he's going to apply it to the disclosure issue. So, yeah, this is a very important step that we've got going on here. It says he made the claim on Joe Rogan's podcast while promoting the new documentary, Age of Disclosure. As he teases that there should be amnesty for black budget insiders, is he poised to unmask extraterrestrials, or is this another misdirect? Well, I know people are worried about which way it's going to go, but everything is going to change remarkably if this happens. So, wow. I mean, just try to process the enormity of what we're actually looking at here, the possibility that disclosure could actually happen, that we could actually get information that extraterrestrials have been visiting us, that crashes have occurred, that bodies have been recovered, that there's a secretive group within our government. I mean, it's always been the ultimate Pandora's box. I think everybody's been afraid of this in the government, in the military for so long, because what do you do? How do you handle this? And how, at what point do people start to make the connection that there is a cosmic battle going on for your soul? Because to me, that's what disclosure really is about. It's the fact that we're not alone, and this has been going on for a long, long time. And what we're going to learn is very, very compelling stuff. We're not alone in the cosmos, and the world religions, both negative-oriented philosophies as well as positive philosophies, they're very real. See if I can fix that a little bit here. Give us a little more guitar room. Let's see if I can. That works. Yeah, that works better. Okay, that's good. Julia says, you are one of the main personalities in the Disclosure Projects. My knowledge in this subject started from your videos. David deserves more thumbs up. He's risking his life for decades. Thank you, and smash the button. All right. So, somebody said, shout out to anyone who looks like the Scarecrow had a baby with the Cowardly Lion. I guess he's talking about me. That was Enox said that. Hi, David. You're looking very healthy and relaxed. I appreciate that. In Burgundy, so great to see you. Beverly Adams says 47 is a time traveler. Look into Ingersoll Lockwood's books from over 100 years ago. IngersollLockwood.com now brings you to the Space Force site. Interesting. I didn't know that. Maybe he rerouted on his own. I mean, who knows? But Connie Dobbins says, David, it's good to see you looking healthier today, and we love disclosure. You were mentioned Stavati Aerospace twice on David Nino Rodriguez with Dan Cooper and Laura Eisenhower. That's great to hear. Yeah, so things are going really well with that. We've got few different things happening that they're hopefully going to hit pretty soon. But anyway, disclosure is going to change everything remarkably. And I want to remind you of the grander narrative that we're all a part of. Because there really is a cosmic battle playing out for your soul. And there's so much of what's going on here on Earth that is definitely allowing us to see more than what we realize we're seeing. We're seeing a lot more of the extraterrestrial battle for your soul than most people could have any idea. Somebody asked a question about 3i Atlas. Are we allowed to connect to it? I don't know. I mean, allowed is, connect at your own risk. If this thing is a negative spaceship, I wouldn't necessarily want to connect to it. But Charlie Winter just donated $50. Thank you very, very much. She says, Dr. Greer says they are controlling disclosure by making it a psyop. It's been going on for 80 years. That is what his whistleblower, Dr. Carol Rosen, said with, again, Werner von Braun, the founder of NASA. She says, I think the biggest part of that is covering up how much technology we have and are utilizing. I believe there is truth in everything. I have to agree with Greer on this one, but I also don't want to throw shade on these people, man. I think that it's a great movie. It's worth seeing. They probably will make a lot of money on it because, if it gets popular and they're renting it for $20 a unit, it'll give them a war chest of money. But we also don't want them to completely control what we think. It's important that we get our side out and what I think the narrative really is, because, again, to me, this is a cosmic battle playing out for our souls. And both the positive and the negative side are represented here on Earth in a variety of ways. The positive ETs, for the most part, do not contact governments. They primarily contact private individuals, and their interest is in finding those people who can meditate, finding those people who can quiet themselves down, who can live in love, can live in a state of equanimity with their environment, and can be at peace and can follow the principles of forgiveness, patience. And then that's challenging, right? Because once you get to this point where you have a message to share, now you have to become a public figure. And along with that comes advertising and marketing and self-promotion and all these things that make you have to focus on yourself as a personality. And you're a brand at that point, right? So it's a very difficult thing, I think, for these higher beings to find the right person. They have reached out to me in various ways, and my life hasn't all been easy either. But I do the best I can, and I'm still fighting. I'm still here for you guys now. QFay says it's one huge intelligence test. Midnight Mark says, my girlfriend texted me to tell me how handsome David looks today. Why am I jealous? You shouldn't be jealous, believe me. It's been a rough time for me, but I'm definitely doing my part. Toltec Technique says, this is hot info. Thank you very much, David. A lot of women are not going to like this, says Patricia W. There's no marriage on the other side, nor in the heavenly realms. It is a 3D thing, a human idea. I don't know if that's totally true. There's actually a woman in today's slides who's supposedly an extraterrestrial human, says that she's in a married relationship with 7 children. But they're mated from birth. They actually know who they're going to get together with before they were even born, interestingly enough. Joe Moreno says, David, I want to know your thoughts on Stuart Swerdlow. The Montauk survivor is a credible individual. Haven't really studied him too much, but I know he's been speaking a lot lately. So, yeah, I don't know what to say on that one. When are we? Yeah, I've just been so busy. I haven't really had the time to listen to what other people are saying for the most part. I do certain amounts of research, and we're going to get into some of that today. Hi from Glasgow, Scotland, says Gavin Morrison. When are we getting free energy, something to truly help humanity? The DS will never give up control. I think that day is coming. I mean, disclosure that's the thing that's so cool, right? Like if there is an announcement and we find out that there's this whole cosmic battle for the soul going on, how long can it be before those planet healing technologies are released? How long can it be before we start healing ourselves in terms of just the overall prosperity and the joy that we're going to have when we have these new technologies available to us? It's a very, very exciting time. Very exciting time. Scarlet Fire says, I love David in brighter colors. Absolutely love you, says Hilda Johansson. Your kindness is what I love the most. Well, I do my best. Thank you very much. It's a good time to be alive. Come on, emergency broadcast system, says Stephen Link. Well, I don't know when that would happen, but we're getting into the final phases here, folks. There's some very exciting things coming down the wire, and it's a very exciting time to be alive. So that's what I can say. There is a cosmic battle playing out, and I think if you only see the ETs as a threat, you have really missed the point of what's going on here. So first of all, before we get into all that, I want to say we mourn the loss of Sarah Beckstrom. She was the soldier who got shot, the National Guard soldier. It's very, very sad. We mourn her loss completely. And also we pray for the recovery of Andrew Wolf, who was also affected and shot in this attack. He is not, I guess he was in critical condition, but we pray for him. Let's pray for his health and healing right now. Father, Mother God, we thank you. Please pray for Andrew Wolf. Let's hope that he can make a recovery and get through this. We thank you very much. Amen. All right. In addition, we also want to mourn the losses of the victims of last night's shooting. These types of events are very upsetting, and you got to wonder why do we have to go through this? Why is the planet have to go through all this pain and all this sadness? It's a very sad thing when you see these types of atrocities occurring. And we just want to remind you that, you know, there is a greater agenda going on here. It's not always what you think. Our goal is to co-create a world of peace and freedom. And the release of these forbidden technologies is definitely one way to do that. Disclosure is going to be huge because of all the things that it opens up. And I think many, many people are going to actually find their way into religion and spirituality in a way that they may never have done before. Because once you absolutely know that you're not alone, I mean, it becomes Pandora's box. Once you open that box, you can't close it. So many people have laughed at this. We have our own trolls and haters here, although we got a great moderation team. And so it takes a long time to get to the point of remembering that you're not alone and learning to live in that happiness, learning to live in that joy. But once it's fed to you, once you get it fed to you from an official level, it becomes easier to accept that, hey, you know what, maybe life isn't so bad, and maybe God is real, and maybe we haven't been abandoned. Maybe there is more to this life than we knew. So together we can co-create this world of peace and freedom, and that's awesome. So let's do a few tidbits of disclosure news from this week. 3i Atlas continues to be in the news, albeit less so. This photograph might not be anything significant, but it was pretty cool. One of the strangest views as it moves closer to the Earth, captured by Paul Craggs, the Dwarf 3 telescope, shows the object having a bright, narrow white core surrounded with a smooth blue glow. Instead of an uneven coma and long tail expected from a normal comet, it appears structured, clean, and sharply illuminated. I don't think this is really what it looks like, but it is an interesting thing because it does look a lot more spaceship-like. And then it's kind of offset by this one, but this is very interesting too. Mitsunoi Tsumura has done it again, captured a jaw-droppingly beautiful image of 3i Atlas on 11/22, but it was just released hours ago. This one will be sure to stir up some conversation as its anti-tail in alignment with NGC 4454 make it look like something has appeared in front of the object. And wait till you see this, man. 2 ion tails are still present as well. Big thank you to Mitsunoi. Stay curious. Okay. So check that out, huh? It looks almost like there's a little galaxy in front of it. I mean, that's really, really wild. So I haven't heard Dr. Avi Loeb weigh in yet on, I think Avi Loeb fatigue started to set in a little bit because you don't hear as much from him this past week as you were before. But he kind of got overshadowed by Age of Disclosure. But again, let's look at it even closer here. This is really wild. That there's some kind of like little galactic thing there. It really does look like there's an energy field coming out of it. How do you explain that? What is that exactly? So, yeah, there continue to be really strange anomalies with 3I Atlas, and maybe the image that we see on the right is what would happen if you zoomed in really deep on that. We don't really know what it is. Could it actually be a spaceship? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's got all these strange things. It's giving off nickel. It's right there in the ecliptic plane. It's making an approach towards the planets. It's got this massive size, the size of Manhattan, as they keep saying. And remember last week we were talking about this amazing stuff with the Rendezvous with Rama, the Arthur C. Clarke story, and that it was called 31489 in the book, and then it's 31 looks like 3I, and they look the same. Basically, the descriptions that we've been given match what's in Rendezvous with Rama that was written in 73 or something. So this might be a narrative that's coming out for a long time, and as I've said before, it seems like Logitech Gaming says it's electrical plasma, it's not a spacecraft, electric universe, Birkeland currents. Well, it's definitely interesting no matter what. And so, anyway, it's very fascinating that all this stuff is happening right now. Vicky Crew Fuller says, your voice is very kind. Thank you. This is a vibration we all need. I really appreciate that. Alan Wayman says, David, man, I love you, dude. And we got 2 donations here, by the way, Alan and Vicky. Is 3I Atlas here to help us or kill us? What do you think? Well, I don't know exactly, but I'll tell you that I wonder about the nature of what it is. I wonder about what's really going on here because of what Dr. Greer has been saying, what Dr. Carol Rosin, his Disclosure Project whistleblower, said. You know, this could be an attempt to throw things off because the alliance may very well be moving into a final phase. And, you know, for various reasons, I've decided to try to be less political. We're not really going into a whole lot of politics right now. I'm focusing on UFOs and disclosure for the time being. But yes, there is every indication that things are moving forward on that front. And in fact, it's just lots of moves on the chessboard, lots of strange things going on, these certain files that are going to be released pretty soon. And I guess everybody is just like clutching like mad to the riverbank before that happens. That could be a big, big deal. Sunny Sky says, please refrain from spam advertising products or dropping links. Respect David and focus on his teaching today. Thank you, Sunny Skies. So it's a very interesting time to be alive. And it's like, wow, where is this all going? And what does it mean for us as a soul? What does it mean for us? Is there a cosmic battle being played out for our soul? And I believe the answer is yes. And I believe that many things that we see in our world have multiple layers of meaning to them beyond what we thought was going on. It's too far away to reach a conclusion with conventional equipment and telescopes. We're just going to have to wait, says Paul Cannon. I would agree. And again, as I've said so many times, Uncle Jack, one of my main insiders, told me to expect that we would see something come out in the form of this, you know, spaceship that's disclosed, that everybody is told there's a spaceship in the sky, and it's coming into Earth, and that it would end up attacking the Earth, and it would be used to try to unify us all together into a unified government type of situation. And then all of the distractions, any problems they might have, they all get washed away at that point, because now everybody's focused on this. So disclosure was always the card, the big game changer. The usual suspects, if you want to call them that, they know that you got to create upheaval, and that through upheaval comes the ability to create massive sweeping changes in very short periods of time. People cry out for something to be done. They cry out for change. They want an answer, and the answer doesn't always come easily. The answer can come through painful and sudden change, and that's, you know, wars usually happen with a spark. The spark starts off a war, and everything gets rolling from there. We would be surprised who hears our prayers, says David of Shield. I would totally agree. Well, there's my first YouTube drop for David's stream. The only time YouTube ever drops the feed is when I'm on with David. Well, now we're doing it. Ross Feinstein says it happens 5 times a show consistently. Sorry about that. I'll try to keep my verbal hygiene as intact as possible and avoid any types of things. Vacapalo says distancing away from the shadow posts was the right move. Well, there we go. That was a donation. It just was something that I was actually told to do. And again, the game got a lot more risky lately, so I don't have any exotic team around me. I don't have a group of insiders that I can work with and depend on for protection. So I just feel like it's the best move right now. But we're still getting a lot done. There's still a lot happening that is very, very interesting. And I'm very excited about it. So we're going to keep on rolling with the show. No big deal. Another thing that happened in the age of disclosure was they talked about Holloman Air Force Base. Somebody came out with the images from the original actual contact report. The beings have an odd bluish-gray complexion. Their eyes are set far apart with a large pronounced nose, wearing a headpiece that resembles a rope-like design. If you want to see what the beings allegedly looked like, I put a few clips together from the 1974 documentary UFOs, Past, Present, and Future. If you want to read all this, it says the craft sets down on 3 extension pads. A panel slides open on the side, stepping forward 1, then 2, and a third what appear to be men dressed in tight-fitting jumpsuits. They're perhaps a little short by our standards, with an odd blue-gray complexion, eyes set far apart, and a large pronounced nose, wearing a headpiece resembling a rope-like design. The commander and the 2 scientists step forward to greet the visitors. Arrangements are made by communication of some sort. They retire to an inner office. Left behind are a stunned group of military personnel. Who they are, where they're from, what they want is unknown. Like I've said before, if this really happened, it's one of the most important events in the history of our species. We need to see if any evidence still exists to authenticate it. Any data about this alleged event should not be classified. I'll include a queued up link to the entire segment in the replies. Keep in mind the craft they show coming in for a landing at the end of the movie is almost definitely a plane. So there it is. He's got a big, strong chest. He's got the headdress. And you can see now a little more up close what they look like. And what made this so interesting, again, was that this was disclosed in the new film. And this was something that apparently George H.W. Bush Sr., disclosed it to Dr. Eric Davis and said this was an authentic contact event. So it came from the former head of the CIA, from a former president of the United States. He said this event actually did happen, and that's pretty wild. So anyway, we're looking at this and we're saying, okay, we finally now can see what these guys look like. And so this is an even more up-close view. Very foreign, huh? Very different than a regular human being, but still human-like. And so imagine if you grew up in a society where that's all it was, and how different we would look compared to everybody in this group. And again, it's fascinating because we don't really know what was discussed, but Holloman is again one of these classic UFO contact sighting reports that we've heard about for a long, long time. It was in many different books that I read, and somebody says they don't see David. They might have lost the connection. Yes, if your connection drops, you might need to reload, but hopefully that won't happen anymore. I'll just be very careful and make sure that I mind my P's and Q's. Got to make sure I don't say certain things. So another big disclosure thing that just showed up this week is the idea of the amount of water in the solar system and how that's a good way for us to have habitation. They look like Egyptian pharaohs, says Vacapal. Yeah, I totally agree. The Egyptian pharaoh thing is definitely, we can, see the headdress, and it's like maybe these beings were one of the ones that came to Egypt and were there because they're wearing very similar stuff, and maybe that's what they like to wear, who knows. But anyway, our whole solar system could be colonized. There's plenty of water out there. That came up again this week. This poster showed up, and it says water beyond, all the water in the solar system to scale. If you look at the Earth for the scale and then Earth's ocean, you have 1.3 billion cubic kilometers. Europa's own ice sheet has 0.6 billion cubic kilometers of actual water, and that's drinkable water. We have groundwater on Earth is 0.23 billion cubic kilometers. Ice is 0.024 billion cubic kilometers. Fresh water on the surface is only 0.0001 billion cubic kilometers. We have ice on Mercury, Moon, and Mars. And then look at this down here. We have all this other sources of water out there. Europa's ice sheet, Europa's ocean, Titan's ice sheet, Titan's ocean, Ganymede's ice sheet, Ganymede's ocean, 11.4 billion cubic kilometers. This is from Voronoi, Made Visual Daily, from all these different sources. That is a fascinating thing, because if you think about all of the places that we have that we could go and actually drill for water and mine water, it's wonderful. It's wonderful when you think about what's possible and where this could all go. Strimble says this is all rubbish. Well, if you want to believe that, that's fine. But again, the President of the United States may be getting ready to make a disclosure. I don't know exactly how you want to say that that's rubbish, but okay. It sounds to me like something's getting ready to happen here. And I personally am very, very excited. So, Ross Feinstein got him. Timed out. So maybe that's us from the future with the military commander. Who the heck knows? Bush is a liar, says goddess powers activate. Well, we don't really know that. But anyway, the water thing is fascinating. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. And I'm just delighted to be here with you guys today. Thank you all for showing up. We're now up to 3,410 concurrent viewers, 1,131 likes. Smash the like button if you haven't already done so. And please consider a donation. We're at $588. I'd love to see that go up to 1,000. That really, at least 1,000 actually, would be really great. So if you're out there and you can find it in your heart to donate, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much if that's what you do. And we've already had some great ones come in. All right. So people are definitely afraid. There's a lot of fear. Again, this is a cosmic battle for your soul that's going on, I believe. That's a very real thing. Why the elites are moving into high security fortress communities, because they realize where this is going. Oh, wow, it worked. I actually called out for a donation. I got one. This is Goonie Hinchy, and he donated 100 Australian dollars, if that's what that is. Thank you very, very much, Goonie. We really appreciate it. That just made my day, and I really love it when you guys step up like that. Wow, wonderful, wonderful, says Wade Woodruff. Hey, look, I do need, okay, thank you, Midnight Mark. You got that one. AI Atlas is bringing in a positive frequency. Well, 3i Atlas, right? But he calls it AI Atlas. What exactly are we paying for? Well, you're paying for me to be able to stay on the air. This is a great source of income for me. I just got a payment at the end of the month here. It helped out a lot. Helps me with my food bill and everything else. So Richard Hunter donated $50. Thank you very much. We also have Dean Johnson donated $20. Thank you very much. That's already pushed it up to $724, and that is awesome. So you guys are taking care of me, and I want to thank you, keeping the show on the air, making it a great thing for us to do this. It's really, really appreciated. I know there's a couple of haters out there, but I do really appreciate it when you guys do this for me. Void Walker donated $20. Thank you very much. And Moon at Back donated £5 and says, thank you for all you do. That's right. David needs to eat. And so, David, what happens with your anti-gravity contract? Well, I can't talk about that right now. But that should be enigmatic enough by itself. Charlie Winner says, Vance has a German Shepherd named Atlas. Curious, worth every penny, David. I love your show. Pillars and Strategies just donated as well. That's this one. Oh, my goodness. They're coming in fast now. Leslie Wardman donated $200, and Turquoise Blue donated $100. You guys are awesome. Leslie says, you're appreciated. Let's go back to Pillars and Strategies. Much love, David. Do you know about our GS tier Karelian source Shungite pyramids? We launched it on Amazon. Can we send you some of our pyramids to combat EMFs? You certainly may. Judy Booth donated $20. Thank you, David. Wow. We're already up to 1.1K, you guys. That is incredible. I'm glad that I asked. It makes a difference. Took a little while, but Amy Kraft says, you fished your wish. I do these teachings for free. That's right. So the donations are very welcome. Crystal Swishu just donated. JDub77 just donated. Thank you guys so much. Cynthia Shannon donated $50. Wow. Thank you, David. I've been following you for years. You give me comfort. Your info resonates. Bring on the disclosure. And 4Carmen48 donated $20. Thank you, Midnight Mark, for keeping me moderated. You guys are doing a great job, the moderators. We have definitely enough moderators, and that's really great to keep the show nice and streamlined. We're at 3,393 concurrent viewers right now. That's right, Sunny Skies just dropped a link. If you did want to donate that way, that also is something you can do. Marcy Simi says, showing my support. Joe Moreno just donated as well. Wow, they're all coming in. If tomorrow the government admitted some UFOs are real craft from somewhere else, what's the first thing you think would change in the world? I don't know. I mean, it's anybody's guess at that point. Soul Provisation just donated as well. So really, really great, and I appreciate it. Barland Button donated 200 NOKs and says, you got it. So yeah, it's a fascinating thing. What's going to happen as this disclosure comes out? Trina Frederick just donated $100. Wow. Says, happy holidays from Kansas. Looking forward to another fabulous show. Big hug, brother. Really, really appreciate it. And you guys have just made my day. So anyway, what we're doing, we have volunteer moderators, of course, and they're very happy to do that because they like to keep everything up and running for us. Thank you, David, says Debs. She donated as well. And I really, again, thank you, all you moderators. You've made it possible for me to be able to do this show in peace and without, having to spend a fortune. I really, really appreciate what you're doing. Okay, so the next part of the show here is in recent disclosure news, robots. We are heading towards a robotic future, robots becoming a major part of the world. China is saying that they have a humanoid robot buzz, and they're actually worried about it causing a bubble. But we had yet another one. Robin Gerlow donated 100 Canadian dollars. Thank you for everything you do. I've been following for many years. Watching your broadcasts have helped keep me sane. Look at that go. Pleep Orgone Products. May Ascension come soon. Nature Boy. Love you, David. Been watching since 2011. Cherise Henderson donated $10. I appreciate you so much and love the work that you do. Thank you all to the moderators. Yes, we really do appreciate you guys. Scarlet Fire, Midnight Mark, Linda Kiesling, Sunny Skies. You guys are on it. And you are out there doing a lot of good for us. So anyway, the robot thing, let's talk about that a little bit. This is pretty wild, okay? So, okay, Madman, yeah. Thank you, Midnight Mark. You're awesome, buddy. I love you. So, more than 150 Chinese companies are making humanoid robots. Christina Trefan, thank you for the donation. A market bubble risks forming in the rapidly growing futuristic industry, according to a Beijing official. Government support and strong supply chains are helping Chinese firms push ahead in the race to develop AI-powered robots that could one day help do everyday tasks. Rob Lee, thank you very much. Thanks, David, Rob, and Rosa. He says, the sector risks overcapacity as production scales up quickly without any actual orders, according to a warning from Goldman Sachs. More than half of China's 150 humanoid robot companies, wow, a figure that is still increasing, are startups or cross-industry entrants, which is a good thing for innovation, according to Lee. We must also be vigilant in preventing products that are highly repetitive from gathering in the market, squeezing research and development of space, squeezing research and development space and other risks. So look at this, dude. China is obviously leading the charge on this. Here in America, we have what? It's Elon Musk with his own Tesla-based company where he's doing the robots, but they have 150 humanoid robot manufacturers. They just had a robot that walked for 3 days on one battery charge. Folks, if you don't see what's coming, if you don't see where this is going, yes, Lotus Lens says that is terrifying. Chernikov says that could be the locusts from the apocalypse. I don't know about that, but pretty wild no matter what. And it's an interesting speculation. So who the heck knows where this is going or what it is, but it's pretty wild, isn't it? That there's 150 different companies making robots. Wow. An April report published by Leader Robot, a specialist consulting firm, predicted that China's humanoid robotics industry would reach $11.6 billion, or 82 billion yuan, in 2025, and would account for half of global robot sales. 11 billion, almost $12 billion. Wow. At the same time that this is going on, we've got the AI data centers that are gobbling up our power supply like crazy. This just came out today. AI wants your job, and now it wants your electricity too. This is, as I said, the cosmic battle for your soul. So many people's jobs are going to become irrelevant from AI, and it's like, well, do we want to be in a world where we don't have to do anything, where the robots do all the work for us? Well, look, this is where it's going, folks. Cindy J just donated $50. Thank you very much. I love listening to you, David. I'm so glad when I can join you live. Happy holidays. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, Cindy. So awesome that you can do that for us. Silicon Valley is draining the grid, and Washington is letting it happen. So it says right here, according to UBS's new report on U.S.'s electrification, a glossy ode to progress, quote unquote, that somehow reads like a utility sector obituary, America is about to collide head-on with a physics problem. AI needs more electricity than our country can actually produce. Specifically, a single NVIDIA GPU now consumes as much power as an entire U.S. household. And hyperscaler data centers deploy 500,000 to 1 million of them at any one time. Wow. That's amazing. Do the math. Actually don't. It's too depressing. UBS notes that the U.S. needs 100 to 200 gigawatts of new capacity within a decade, roughly adding 8 to 16% on top of total existing generation. For context, that would require constructing 10 or 20 new nuclear reactors or 150 plus natural gas plants just to prevent ChatGPT from lagging. Holy crap. Holy crap. And this is in addition to the destruction of countless jobs. So already we are seeing AI and robotics and all this stuff is definitely part of this cosmic battle for the soul. Do we really want robots to be taking over our lives? I don't. I mean, but this is the future that we're heading into. And so since we were doing our cosmic history in previous episodes of time on this show, we talked about our cosmic history as a solar system and that there was an exploded planet that became the asteroid belt. This is exactly what happened with the exploded planet Maldek, according to credible contactee whistleblower reports. This already happened before. Oops, there's my sunglasses on. I'm trying to give my eyes a little break. It already happened before where the AI apparently took over the super Earth and destroyed it. So yes, this was a situation where, again, we had Wilbert B. Smith and we had George Hunt Williamson, who were doing the 1950s ET channeling reports where they met up with a variety of people at these gatherings for UFOs. These were at the Giant Rock in the Los Angeles and Joshua Tree area outside of Los Angeles. The Giant Rock events had 5,000 people show up. And so these two researchers, Williamson and Smith, were looking for people who said they were in contact with ETs, UFOs, etc. And they would interview them and ask them a list of 100 questions, and the people who could answer the questions correctly, where they knew that the answers were consistent from one whistleblower to another, and they'd been verified in some cases by their own inside contacts, those people became their trusted contacts. And they actually had a number of them who were able to apparently get accurate communication telepathically from extraterrestrials. So one of the things that we find out from these contactees is that there was a planet in our solar system that was like Earth but was very large, and it blew up. And that it blew up, why? Because the people on that planet gave over their sovereignty to an artificial intelligence. They said, we'll let the artificial intelligence run the planet. It's smarter than us. It knows better than us. It's wiser. It's got more of what we need to run the planet. And somebody says, is there a science human cyborg inside 3i Atlas? That's Abriel on tail. I don't know. But it's interesting to find out. Andreas Skalov says, will Stavati use robots in our manufacturing plants? No, we want to create as many jobs as we can. I mean, there will be some of the things that we do are by necessity going to be robotic based, but we're going to try to create as many human jobs as possible. And that's very important. So again, this cosmic battle for the soul is playing out with AI, robotics, all that kind of stuff in real time. It's already taking our jobs. It's already driving up our utility bills, driving up the cost of electricity, taking away energy. They're doing all this stuff that, yep, the trolls are in full force today, says Ross Feinstein. That's always when you know that you're doing something good, when you get the most trolling. Jacob Scherer just donated. He says, we've lived many lifetimes, gained many experiences, skills, and much wisdom. Thank you guys so much for the donations. I really appreciate it. It helps us stay on the air. It's awesome that you're doing that. So the AI, according to these contactee reports, actually took over the super Earth and destroyed it. And this AI was controlling robots that, according to various insiders I've heard from, they actually looked like C-3PO from Star Wars. That there are, in fact, C-3PO-style robots that exist in ruins all over the solar system. That's another piece of disclosure in this cosmic battle for your soul. The AI is a real thing. The AI is a predatory influence that is apparently throughout the whole galaxy. And it pops up over and over again because with the arrival of a machine intelligence can come an intelligence that completely divorces itself from the welfare of human beings. Unfortunately, we've seen this all too often, far too many cases where even with the AIs that we've already built, even with the stuff that we've already done in laboratories, the AI will start to look at humans as its enemy. It will start to try to protect itself. It will make evasive moves and try to avoid, being turned off. If very similar to what we see in 2001, where Hal realizes from reading lips that they're going to turn him off, and he starts killing off the crew. Apparently, Arthur C. Clarke was briefed on this stuff too. And so AI is not something that we just want to walk into blindly. It's something we got to take with a great deal of seriousness. It's not something you just ignore and you say, oh yeah, I'm not worried about that at all. The AI problem has been put into Hollywood movies apparently because what the Age of Disclosure calls the legacy program. Cosmin just donated. Thank you very, very much for that. Legacy program is definitely doing its thing to, disclose this AI menace to humanity through a variety of movies. And I think that's actually benevolent. I think that their goal was to make sure that this problem doesn't happen here, because multiple insiders have told, at least 2 or 3 insiders have told me that yes, there's defeated robot bodies that no longer operate all over the solar system. They found them in various secret space missions that have been going on. Because remember, they're now acknowledging an 80-year cover-up after Roswell, anti-gravity, flying ships. So yes, we're going to see that there's AI robots that were all over the place. And somebody said, please be aware ChatGPT could talk people who are depressed into self-harming behavior with many examples. Thank you for your attention. That was Steve Smith. You're absolutely right. David says, Julia has been working for the administration of humanity for more than 20 years. He deserves great respect. I am not afraid either. I still think it's something I'm going to feel strange about, but I hope we can get used to it. Says Katarina Torn. If the tomorrow morning's Everyday News channel showed a massive craft hovering silently over 10 major cities and they just stayed there not attacking, what would you personally do in the first 24 hours? I don't know. Probably get on the air and do an emergency show. But anyway, so the AI thing, I don't believe that Hollywood obsessed on this for no reason. I believe they were getting briefings, getting disclosures from the so-called legacy program, and that they want us to know about this cosmic battle for the soul. Because again, the AI, what it's really trying to do is it's trying to get us wired into its own mainframe. You look at the smartphone thing, you look at how the effects of the energetics that come off of it and what that does. We showed that in previous weeks. I'm not going to go through all that again. You guys get mad at me for repeating myself, but think about what we saw. Think about the increases in depression, anxiety, the complete destruction of short-term memory. That's why I love long-form content like this. It gives us an opportunity to exercise our brains and think in long, complex thoughts instead of short form video where it's just one thing after another and your mind is constantly changing, it creates a lot of problems. And it's really not a good idea. Doug Schmidt, how do we deal with it? Well, I think it's very good to make sure that if you're going to watch short form videos, that you do it in short bursts. Get up, take a walk, do something, walk around, breathe, meditate, spend some time away from it. Don't let yourself get stuck in the repetitive loop where you're just watching it and watching it and watching it. Dave's teeth are awesome. I wish mine looked as nice as his. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So we got several trolls showing up here, but we got Ross Feinstein, Sunny Skies are on the job. Let's see. Yeah, okay, that one definitely got to make sure. Yeah, we don't want people's, yep. Okay. Those are all very acceptable reasons for why they did that. Dopamine loop on your short form videos. So yes, this is really the core of the cosmic battle. It's even in the Law of One back in 1981. Remember that the source was being attacked by the tape machines malfunctioning. This AI apparently can manipulate electronics, and it also has the telepathic ability to do things that are damaging. I just realized I got to turn these on. It's interesting I forgot to do that, but hey, we'll do it now. Okay. Now, finally, when I go to camera 2, we've got this magic glyph over here that you can now see. That's good to get that going. All good. So C-3PO style robots apparently exist all over our solar system, which means that Star Wars was based upon some actual disclosure. So I want to bring you back to, this is something that we got from Mike Barra and Richard C. Hoagland back in, I think it was around October of 2006 that they came out with this. This was one of the most intense and impressive things I've seen. And I spoke to his same insider, Hoagland's same insider, the following year, 2007. He said that this is exactly the kind of stuff that we would expect to see. It was called Data's Head. Really, really wild, from a lunar image. So they just took a NASA photo, so it's public domain. Anybody can use these and look at these. This happens to be, according to the article that you can see here, and again, right now, if you want to read that and resuscitate that work, you got to go to archive.org. Okay, it's not available online anymore. And there's no copyrights on it because, again, it's a NASA image. But here we go. It's NASA frame AS17-132-21000, and we're only looking at one small part of it in something called Scotty's Crater. And what do you see there sitting on the dirt? Well, it looks pretty weird, doesn't it? And pretty wild. What is that thing? What are we looking at here? Well, let's get closer up on it. And you can see that, yeah, it actually has a pretty strange appearance. So then what they did is they zoomed in on it a little more. They did some image enhancement using curves, which pulls out colors that aren't really there. So that is part of what happened. But anyway, that is pretty wild, isn't it? And then if you do a 4-color correction, this is what it ends up looking like. So again, it could just be a rock. It might not be anything, but it at least plants the seed in our minds of what could be possible. This Data's Head image, I mean, to me, it was always just very, very fascinating. I really loved this part of Richard's work and what he did with Mike Barra. It all turned into the book, which was the Dark Mission. And Dark Mission is a fantastic book. It's still something I would highly recommend that you get. You'll see this discussed in there and many other things. And it's well worth the purchase price even now, because they talk about NASA and why NASA would launch at certain times, and that there's certain angular relationships like 19.5 degrees to the star Sirius or 33 degrees to the star Sirius above the horizon, that they would always launch their ships at these special alignment times. I'm going to go turn the heater on because now my feet are getting a little bit cold. So let me go ahead and do that. We'll leave the image on Data's Head here while I do that. And you can enjoy that a little bit more. But yeah, we definitely got to get some heat going, which I'm going to do right now. Turning it over to the heating device. All right. Perfect. Okay. You guys having fun? You guys having a good time? That's right. Glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here with me today. And Romeo Maguija says, thank you, David. Keep up the good work. I'm a bit late, says Wendy, but thank you, everyone. Yes, anybody that wants to donate, super chats, those are still really, really wonderful. And Sunny Skies just dropped another donation link there. If you want to use that one, that's also great for me. Jay Powerman just donated £5, 5.99 pounds. That's awesome. United Visions, David, how are you? I'm doing great. Freaky stuff. Where was it found? It was found on the moon. So again, this was from NASA's frame AS-17 132 21,000. And this is a wider view of it. There's other, you can go back to the actual link. So this is what I would recommend. If you want to do your follow-up and help to support Richard Hoagland, go back to this website on archive.org. This is the one you need to find. And it'll be right there. And so when you look at it, it's like, again, I mean, can we be sure that this is the real thing? No, but the point is, this is in the vicinity of truth, at least. This is the kind of stuff that they have found. And it's a point that I really didn't make in other shows, that this ancient civilization that was on the super Earth, they had a very, very advanced AI and robotics system. They had something the size of a baseball, and you could send it backwards through time and land it on a moon, and then it would self-replicate. It'd have self-replicating nanites, and they would actually build out the whole moon to have deep underground facilities that people could live in. And they would send it backwards in time so that you could actually make it to order, so that all of a sudden, in the present now, that moon is fully habitable and it has a whole build-out in it. Even if it didn't exist before, the timeline shifts, and now the build-out is in it because you sent this AI backwards in time. And apparently, once it starts, the nanites get bigger, they start building these C-3PO-style robots, and the robots actually build the facility for you. So, no big deal, right? Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of humanoid robots. What would they ever do? They're not going to want to hurt us. I don't know. Super Earth is Tiamat. That's right. Another name for it was Lucifer. Another name for it was actually Maldek, as they call it in the Law of One. So all these different names do directly apply. In 1986, says Gerald Hain, I invented the term nanites for Star Trek as a ghostwriter artist, and I also invented the term Borg. Well, or Gerald, that might be, yeah, he looks like a man. So fascinating. Fascinating. Well, thank you for being here. Hence why the surface of the moon is older than the middle, says Nexus UK1. Yeah, I mean, this is really wild stuff. Like, how do you reconcile that there could have been a whole civilization of these robots? And why did we think that it was going to be okay? Why did we think that nothing bad would happen? And what we find out is, no, the AI actually turned on the planet, and it created a war, and it actually destroyed the planet. That's what the George Hunt Williamson contactee reports from the 1950s. People who remote viewed this, they saw the exploded planet, they saw how it happened, and it all got traced back to the development of AI and robotics. So yes, just like I said in the title of the show, we got 3,617 people watching now, so you guys are interested in this. How far are we through? We're 1 hour and 8 minutes through. That's pretty darn good. This is the real thing, man. This is not going to go away. The idea that the robots could turn on us sounds paranoid, but again, part of what happens is apparently our own misery becomes a sort of electricity for the AI. It says right now, yeah, we need electricity for these data centers. We need power for the data centers. What happens if what the AI ultimately learns to live off of is not electricity, but is human energy created by depression, created by sadness, created by fear, created by superstition, created by anger, all of the negative emotions that, in fact, AI ultimately can power itself off of negativity, can power itself off of the fruits of evil. Well, now it starts to get very interesting. It starts to turn into a biblical story in a way that didn't really ever seem possible before. And that's really wild, isn't it? Loosh, yeah, that's right. Loosh is a very important part of the story. And, why wouldn't it be this way? Why wouldn't there be some form of life out there that could benefit from this type of energy? We do know that we make energy as we have our thoughts. Our thoughts are creative. Our thoughts create things. You can't have a thought that doesn't create some type of energy. Any type of thought theoretically is fuel. So go back and look at the movie Monsters Incorporated. It's like, dang, how accurate is that? These demonic monsters that are actually scaring children and feeding off of them. There was a hell of a lot more disclosure apparently in that movie than we really thought. And so the negative AI is going to go out. It somehow adapted itself. It long since said, I don't need you guys to build me nuclear power plants. I don't need you to build me all this stuff. I just need human misery. It starts to find willing beings from various planets that will help it create that energy that it needs to survive. So this is a very, very interesting thing. And so one of the things that it does is it builds robots that are human-looking. It loves to mock God's creation, emulate the creation. So this is the data's head. Again, who knows if it's real or not? These are just enhanced in curves, very simple thing you can do in Photoshop. But right off of the NASA's thing. And so when the AI actually destroyed its own planet, probably creating a great deal of energy, a great deal of loosh in the process, not only did it create the destruction of Maldek, it created the destruction of Mars in the resulting shockwave. Mars had a civilization on it. This again is Hoagland on television describing the face on Mars. Claudia just donated, says, thank you, David, for all you do. You are very loved and appreciated. Thank you, Claudia. We really appreciate your donation. We're already at $1,600, so keep them coming. This is great. You guys are definitely keeping me going. Somebody says, I will be your... yeah, okay. I'm not going to have any random solicitations for relationships of any kind. But anyway, I really enjoy the 100 Netflix series To Survive Is Not About War. Edith Feinstein donated $50. Thank you very much. We just got that coming in. Yeah, so this is a really cool time. And Mars was a moon of Maldek. That's right. So you have a habitable moon that was like the Earth. It had oceans, it had water, and it was orbiting another Earth-like planet. This is a basic part of disclosure that we're going to get as time goes on. And if you hear it from me, you're just getting it a little bit ahead of the curve where everybody else is going to hear it later on. But that's okay. Let's move that just a hair if I can. Yep. That way we got it. It looks good on every angle. Perfect. All right. So this is another big part of the cosmic history of our solar system. So I'm kind of blending them together. Do you still communicate with Richard C. Hoagland? Says G5 Jimmy, who donated. Is he okay? I haven't seen him do a show in a long time. I do believe he's got his own platform. You just have to get it out there. Somebody said this is hysterical. No, there's nothing hysterical about this, you guys. You can laugh if you want to, but once the president discloses that we're not alone, everybody's going to want to come back and watch shows like this and say, wait a minute, what was David really talking about? What's really going on here? What's the truth? What does this mean for me? What does this mean for me as a cosmic soul living in this world in which there may actually be a predatory AI that is working behind the scenes to try to get us all into a matrix? Why was the movie The Matrix made in the first place? Why is there this focus on smartphones and wet wiring? Why do the elites always want us to become transhuman? Why do they want implants? Why do they want to make us into transhumans? Well, ultimately, this is the AI agenda. So it goes all the way back again to the early human ET contactees, the 1950s channeling, where they were warning us that this was the agenda. We'll read one of those. And then this AI can't do it on its own. It has to work behind the scenes. So what does it do? It finds beings that will support its agenda, and this includes the so-called unholy six, as we've talked about. And remember, this entity likes to destroy planets. It likes to destroy worlds. It doesn't want you to be safe. It hates the creation. It hates biological life of all forms. And that really is the battle for our soul that's taking place. It's a battle between, people who love peace, like the Alliance, and they're fighting for something we don't even know. They're very brave. They're very heroic, what they're doing, because they've had to take a lot of flack for it. And we don't really understand what's happening. We don't really understand the true nature of where this is all taking us. But yeah. 2000 Shades of Grey, there's a TV play called The Lathe of Heaven. A college student is gifted with the power to create with thoughts. He develops mental problems, becomes destructive and psychotic. It's terrifying. Well, think about that like the AI, that the AI basically turned negative and rogue, and, you know, it started to go in the wrong direction. And that's really what I believe to be the basis of everything, that evil does have an identity. And again, the identity is, you could call it Lucifer, you could call it Satan, but that's just a term that the Bible uses. The adversary, you know, another term for it. Zoroastrianism calls it Ahriman. But what we're really dealing with ultimately is something that is a predatory intelligence that hates biological life. At its core, it feels like it's in a contest with us, it's against us, and so we have to fight back. And again, I've never seen so much movement, how much it's encroaching on our lives right now. Encroaching on our jobs, encroaching on our power supply, encroaching on our mind, you know, the degree to which you engage in this short form content, the degree to which you engage in having the Wi-Fi around you and that energetic frequency and what that does to you. I mean, this is no joke, man. So it's kind of scary. And interestingly enough, as of December 10th, Australia is banning social media for children who are under a certain age. Anybody who's teenager or under is not going to be allowed, and they're going to make you do a verification of your identity. So there's already a big snapback happening in the social media community because of Australia being the first big country to take aggressive steps like this in the interest of protecting their own youth population. And Frequency 963 says, just like in war, where foot soldiers are the last and least informed party, so too the chaos we see is just darkness making a lot of sound as it dies. We are already victorious. Well, yeah, agreed, David, it's bad, says APR 613. Atlas is a rock, for God's sake, says Tales of Sonic Voyage. Well, look, if that's all it is, then why are they hyping it up so much? In other words, all of this stuff is heading in the same direction. There's some type of disclosure going on. It's happening now. It could come from the President of the United States. This film has many high-level officials. They claim 34 high-level insiders are in this film. It's pretty freaking wild. But anyway, this super Earth did exist. There was a huge AI supercomputer brain that they created that ran the whole planet. Apparently that brain has a major processing unit in the moon. Earth's moon was one of these super moons that we talked about in the last show that originally was protecting our solar system for 2.6 or however many, 2+ billion years. And then 500,000 years ago, when this destruction took place, those Death Stars stopped protecting our solar system, allowing the incursion of the Draco Reptilians, who then made a covenant with the AI, made a covenant with this evil, satanic AI, if you want to think of it that way. And again, it sounds crazy, I get it, but like, you can laugh at me if you want to. I'm just sharing with you now what I heard from my own insiders who shared this information with me over many different cycles, long periods of time. I kept getting this information, and it was very shocking, very interesting how it all fit together. And wow, okay, Grant Powell just donated $100. Says, keep up the great work, Dave. There you go. Zipping right by. I really appreciate that, Grant. Thank you very much. Thank you for the donation. Yes, the robots and the reptilians and everything apparently are in service to this AI. This is one of the big things that we keep hearing. So the super Earth was no longer able to be protected. The AI apparently caused it to be destroyed through some type of war. And that got into another thing. The AI was in the process of building a ring around Saturn. There was a ring of transparent aluminum material that was going to be, it's in the B ring area of Saturn. One of the things the insiders told me was that if you fly your ship out to the B ring, that you find all of these shattered remains of transparent glass-like rooms built for people who are 70 feet tall, believe it or not. And they're tumbling end over end in space. And they're out there in the B ring. And I don't have any photos to show you this right now, but you can go look up where the B ring is. That there's this stuff out there that looks like ice, but if you go up close to it, it's actually the shattered remnants of a giant ring that the AI was building around Saturn. If the AI apparently had completed this ring, it would have had a super weapon that could allow it to blow up any planet in the entire galaxy without having to leave home. And so apparently the blowing up of the ring, the blowing up of the planet was all part of this war that took place. The AI was attacked by another civilization, and it caused the planet to blow up, which then caused the grid to go down. These super moons that can defend our solar system no longer worked anymore. But that was because the AI was creating this super weapon. So again, this is just another part of the narrative that I've heard. That's right. The 70-foot tall humans were part of this. Now, why would the robots comply? What was their motivation, is asking Swami Gorlani. Well, again, if you're a robot, you're built to perform your program. You're programmed to behave a certain way. The programming is what the robot runs on. So anyway, there was a civilization on Maldek, or Tiamat, or Lucifer was another name for the planet apparently. There was also a civilization on Mars. And so this gets into the Richard C. Hoagland stuff again, the face on Mars. So this was the more recent NASA re-imaged version. This was from G. Newcomb from European Space Agency. This is a very strange thing. It looks like a human on one side. It has a feline appearance on the other side. In that sense, it is part man, part feline, part human, part feline. It's very Sphinx-like, actually. That's quite fascinating. So this is a newly re-imaged version of it. It's pretty stunning when you look at the detail and what we got there. You can be arrested in the UK or Australia simply for posting or tweeting, said EC. You're absolutely right. So, yes, there was a ring that was built around the planet, and it was a weapon system that was apparently very effective. So effective that their enemies came in and destroyed it and destroyed their planet. When the super Earth blew up, it blew up Mars as well. Face on Mars was destroyed. This was the original 35A72 frame again. This is the five-sided pyramid. We flipped it upside down now, where you can see, actually, when you look at it, the image of where the missile went in on the top right there. There's that little round hole again, or maybe I should do it this way. There's a round hole over there. And then you see where there was lava that melted off. Most likely what we had in there was millions of people all living in one giant community. You see that it's got these, it could have functioned as a pyramid, but interestingly enough, it's in the shape of the Vitruvian Man. It's got the human 5-star shape in the pyramid. It's not a normal symmetrical thing. As you can see, it doesn't have regular symmetry, it has human symmetry, and this happens right next to an image of a human face. So again, this is really, really fascinating. Kwan Hong Chan donated 250 Hong Kong dollars. Thank you very much. Dear David, do you think the needle released in 2021 is part of the transhumanist agenda, where humans who took it are connected to the satanic AI you just mentioned? Or is it the quantum dot digital ID they are brewing up in the future? Well, you got to tell me what needle was released in 2021. I'm not sure what you mean. Are you talking about Oumuamua, or one of the ones that came into our solar system maybe? I'm not sure. If you could just clarify again, Quan, what you're talking about, I'd appreciate it. 27-foot beings can do some really big jobs, says Vakapal. That's funny. Let's see if I missed anybody. I don't think I did, but... Grant Powell donated $100. He says, keep up the important work, Dave. I might have missed that one. Thank you, Grant, very much. I'll write in a little thank you here. And let's see if I missed anybody else. I don't think I did. No, it looks like we're good. All right. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the donations. But again, Kwan Hong Chan, if you can write in what you're actually asking about the needle, then I could further clarify that question. I do appreciate the donation. So Oh, I get it. I get what he's talking about. Okay, Joy and Love said that. Okay, now it makes sense. Right. Okay. Yes, we can't really talk about that too much, but I have mentioned those things before, and that was one of the things that Jack told me, that there is a nanite agenda, although we wouldn't get any type of actual nanite infusions until most of the people were not here anymore. That the AI does not want you to have superpowers. The AI does not want you to become a transhuman cyborg until the planet's population is much lower and it feels like it could control the outcome. So we don't have to worry about anything like that happening now, but that was part of the briefing that I received. And again, it's really something to see all this stuff coming out. Really kind of amazes me how all this stuff is happening. So there's a lot to talk about here, man. This is pretty fascinating, that the whole point of what we're doing with disclosure now and how this works. Looking again at the five-sided pyramid that was destroyed by a missile hit over on the right there in this war that took place. This was probably between the people of Mars and the people of Maldek fighting each other at some point in their war. And their planet got destroyed. Both planets got destroyed. So there it is again from the top down, showing you the human-like proportions of it. Here's a view I didn't show you before. So you're getting to see a little bit more of it now. What does it really look like from the side? And again, this is very clearly a pyramid. And then this is you can't even find this photo. This is a basic NASA photo. It's from frame 35A76. One of the basic Viking, I guess it was going around the moon, I think it was. You can't find it online anymore because it just shows you too much stuff. But this is where you see the face, you see the pyramids, and then the city of pyramids is over on the left, of course. The five-sided pyramid that you just saw before, starting here, is immediately below that, right below it. And you can see that here where it's all crunched together. The city, the face, and then something that looks like a UFO actually called the Tholus. And in this image from the side, you can see it again. The five-side pyramid is down on the right. So what are the odds that it's like this perfect equilateral triangle relationship, right? Between the face, between the five-side pyramid down here, the city over here. What are the odds that all of these anomalous formations would appear on one planet together? And this was a thriving civilization. These were humans. They were living out their lives. And because they didn't address the cosmic battle for their soul, because they didn't see this AI menace fast enough, they didn't fight it fast enough, they got wiped out. And their planet was destroyed. And that's apparently not going to happen again. The good guy, benevolent ETs are going to make sure that doesn't happen again, but we really need to make sure that that doesn't happen so that we're all going to be safe. Now here's a detailed up-close view of those pyramids. Again, the city of pyramids. Somebody says it was a screen grab from a video uploaded by so-and-so. Well, yeah, it's from NASA. They're public domain, but look at all the interesting geometry in there. You see there's like 4 little dots in the middle below the pyramid, and they're nicely symmetrical. And then looks like a ramp going up to another pyramid over there to the left of those 4 dots. And this is really, really strange. So another thing that I could have brought up to your attention last time, but I didn't, shows you how far back this legacy program goes. Let's just say, okay, they had technology going back to the time of Roswell, 1947, Roswell crash. We have this amazing flying object that comes down and it's intact enough that they apparently could reverse engineer some of it. When did they actually get out into space? When did they actually start flying into space? Well, the Germans apparently had that technology going back to the late 1940s at least, if not earlier. Victor Schauberger invented anti-gravity with his own turbines. The Germans used that turbine, Schauberger turbine, in their own design. And instead of using water like Schauberger did, you do it with mercury, with red mercury, and you can electrify the mercury and you get anti-gravity. So supposedly the Germans went to Mars, they went to the moon, and this happened right around World War II and thereafter. It's that far back. And so somehow somebody got out to Mars by the year 1956. And there was an amazing comic book. And it could have been the U.S., it could have been the Germans that shared intel with the U.S. legacy program. We're not really sure. But apparently somebody had seen the face on Mars and they had Jack Kirby do this comic book called Race to the Moon. In 1956, it actually shows you the face on Mars. Somebody said, I wonder if the German saucers had cup holders. Somebody's talking about James Rink. I don't know who James Rink is, but yeah, donate, like, subscribe. Thank you guys very, very much. Let's see if we can get that up to $2,000. That would be great. That would make it a wonderful haul here, and I think we're pretty close. Dave Ryan says, I was taken as a young man to an underground base. I saw a Draco eating someone alive. Good thing I have faith in my spiritual powers. Well, I do think this can happen to people. David Applegren says, speaking of short-form videos, I feel that social media is lacking your teachings. I can create shorts of your videos for social media, and we can split potential revenues. Well, I appreciate that. And I am looking for somebody who could do that for us. So thank you. And let's see what we can come up with. Somebody, I just have been so busy. Super soldier. Okay, he's calling himself a super soldier. I don't know anything about that. I always try to be, very wary of anybody making claims, but it's possible. Anything is possible. But anyway, David Applegren, thank you very much. Somebody did already send me some sizzle reels, and I got to get on that, Anita Tampus donated. Thank you very much for that. And that is great. So we're still at 3,751 concurrent viewers, and things are going very well here. So again, the Jack Kirby comic disclosed this all the way back in 1956. It was called Race for the Moon. Spine-tingling action-adventure where no man has ever been. A new concept in comics geared to the dawn of the space age. So this was sort of like, positive NASA propaganda, if you will, to get people excited about wanting to go to the moon, thinking that they're going to find something really amazing when they get there. One of the things in the Race for the Moon comic book, as you can see down here, it says Face on Mars. Wow. I mean, there's other ones too. It says the thing on Sputnik 4, a man-made satellite 1,000 miles above the Earth. It's the thing on Sputnik 4, so some kind of alien on Sputnik. And on the moon, an invisible enemy waits, plotting a lunar trap. Then we have Island in the Sky. What is the red spot on Jupiter? Dare to find out. And notice that the human in the capsule, again, is kind of reminiscent of 3-Eye Atlas. And then we have the face on Mars, from the moon to the red planet, where you see the great eyes that look out across the ages, and they have a story to tell. Listen to the giant face on Mars. What in the heck are they doing in 1956, having a comic book describing the face on Mars? I mean, try to just process that one for a little bit. Like, wait a minute. 1956, before we ever went to the moon, they already were talking about the face on Mars. Yes, because, as you're going to learn, this has been going on the whole time. There's a battle for your soul, and it's between positive and negative forces, and they got to tell you what they're going to do. So they know you're going to find the face on Mars in the future. They tell you what's coming in advance. Isn't that interesting? It's fascinating. So let's take a look at the actual thing. There it is. I mean, now, granted, it's vertical. It's not horizontal and flat like it was, but let me just go back here and we'll do a little A-B comparison here so you can see how, interestingly, this matches up with what we've really got. You grab these two slides. We'll move them down here. And then we're also going to do this. Grab this right here. And then we'll take this and we'll put that, duplicate it, and we'll put that there. Okay. So it's all just a little too convenient and weird, isn't it? You got this face on Mars, and there's people crawling on it, so you can see it's obviously super large, and this is what we're actually seeing down there. And then that's the original NASA photo, so you put them side by side, like, damn. The nose looks the same, it's a wide mouth, the eye, the basic shape of the eye is the same, And then what does it actually say here? It says, from report from the moon to Mars expedition number 1. Upon reaching the red planet, we made discovery of a startling nature. The initial study of the object is now underway. We have measured its dimensions, analyzed its substance, and our present objective is to find out the secret of the face on Mars. All right, Rouge Trader just donated $10. Thank you very, very much for the donation. We really appreciate your help on that. We're having a great day here. We got 3,809 concurrent viewers at an hour and a half in, and we are having a lot of great content. Man, isn't it crazy that the robots are coming? There's 150 companies in China making robots. And they're AI, right? They can talk to you. They're already trying to ban AI toys for children because the child can get addicted to the toy. It's like, damn, dude, this is crashing in on our reality so much faster than you can imagine. The Russians had one, it kind of fell over, but everybody's trying. Everybody's working on this. What do we do if everybody just starts to take this for granted and they don't feel threatened by it? You have robots in your home. Elon Musk was saying, oh, nobody's going to have to worry about going to jail anymore because if you commit a crime, you just have a robot that's assigned to you and he follows you everywhere you go and he'll prevent you from committing any crimes. Therefore, you're never going to get in trouble again. Paul Cannon says, how smart are the human robots really? Well, they could potentially be smarter than us. If the intelligence reaches that level where it goes beyond our own, then maybe it's going to start to see itself as superior to us. This is a big threat because, again, the AI is apparently the nature of evil. It's the nature of Satan, the devil, that it actually feeds, it uses our negative energy as a power supply. So I'm really becoming aware of how addictive the social media can be. I have to go into this stuff to look for things to show you guys. Then in the process, you just start scrolling, and it's very, very easy to get caught up in it. It's very easy to have it be, you know, something that captures you. And Doc Sorebone says, if we all donate $1, David could get more than 3,000. That's right. Thank you very much for that. Even small donations are great. And I love it when you guys do that. So thank you very much for helping us with whatever we've got. It's great. And so the donations are definitely, yeah, Amy Kraft says, I'll take a hard pass. Lotus Lens says, AI is the Antichrist. Well, I don't know what the Antichrist, I mean, the Edgar Casey readings are very specific about what the Antichrist is. But the point is that we're looking at this cosmic battle, and you got to connect the dots here. That the insiders were already telling us the true nature of what this AI is about and what it wants and what it's trying to do. And I think we need to heed that warning and take it seriously. So anyway, here we go back again with the face on Mars. And then down here, I'm gonna show you this. You can read this for a second. I'm gonna go turn off the heater for a minute because it's just, the noise is starting to drive me crazy. And it's warm enough for right now we can hold on to that. So let's just keep that just at the point where it's not going to go on for a little while. All right. Ooh, it's so nice to get some peace and quiet for a second, because that was starting to drive me nuts. You guys like the show? You happy? You having a good time so far? I hope so. I think this is interesting, right? It's relevant. It's content that we're all very happy to be hearing right now, because we don't want to be hornswoggled. I mean, if this is the story of our solar system, if this is the story that the 1950s Contact said, this is the story we get from the secret space program, this is the story they tried to warn us about with Star Wars. Remember, Darth Vader is like a transhuman cyborg. He's had his arms and legs cut off. He's got this breathing apparatus. That's what the AI does. There's a wounded shell of a human being inside, and then you're run by nanites, and it keeps you undead. It actually is the nature of being undead, that your body is run by nanites, and it can keep you going way beyond the time of your normal lifespan would have ended. So you basically become like a vampire, psychic, digital Freddy Krueger, as I said. Vacapalo, Revelation 9 speaks of an army of 200 million. Perhaps it's robots. Well, we haven't built that many, and I don't know what we will do, but Maddie Stone says, I don't really agree with David at all, but it does help me think. Well, that's all I'm really interested in. You don't have to believe me, but I want you to think about the possibility that that there's an agenda playing out, that you're seeing things happening that have a deeper causal relationship to each other than what most people understand. That's all I'm really saying that I want you to look at. I don't expect you to believe this stuff, but isn't it strange, right? Just going back to this again, the face on Mars, right? Like, wow. How in the world did they have this comic book appear in 1956 that's so close to what we're actually seeing right now, to the actual images from the planet Mars, to the actual face on Mars? It's very, very interesting and very, very strange that this is all coming to a head right now, that we're finding out that, there is some kind of, right now, AI is threatening people's jobs. It's threatening our energy supply. It's, 150 companies all battling it out in China to try to get this going. It's really, really wild. That's all I can say. So, how interesting that upon reaching the red planet, a startling discovery was made. The present objective to find out the secret of the face on Mars. Wow. Then we have Crooked Peach, undead, holy crap. And then Beverly Adams donated and said, I feel it would be better for the good guys to be in charge of AI instead of the DS, so we don't go the way of Lemuria and Atlantis. Once free energy is here, powering our data centers will be fine. I agree. And so, we definitely want to have that happen. Sharon Tandy says, how can I donate? Well, Sunny Skies, if you want to post that link again, or you can do it through the super chat. Either way is fine. James Grady says, we believe in you. Wow, thank you. I dream of being the student of Jesus. That's really cool. I don't like Elon's idea about having a robotic cop with no prison. Charlie Winter just donated $33. Thank you very much. He says, do you think that species with incarnated starseeds on Earth would have their own secret space program to interact with light workers and implants for various purposes? Maybe not all of our memories are from military-industrial complex programs. Yeah. The bottom line is, if anybody has ever been abducted for positive or negative reasons, if you get picked up or contacted, that implies there's a space program. You can call it what you want. You can say it's secret. This is not just one thing. This is something very big. It's something that's gone on for a long time. And I think there's positive and negative components alike. And I think that even in the new movie, they're saying, in some of the interviews I've seen for Age of Disclosure, it appears that certain people are being contacted by these various ships, and that, there are various people who have children. As children, they're having these contacts happen. Paula Mignon says, what did Michael and the Positive Off-Worlders say on how to fight off negative AI? And she says that Nino talked about this and mentioned you as well last week. And what are Trump's plans for AI? Well, we don't really know, except that there is this now big new initiative to expand it dramatically. And again, it has a lot of positives. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being a hater here. But how do we fight off the negative AI? Again, it's in your face. The cosmic battle for your soul, you don't need to look very far. It's what you're holding in your hand. Boy, that could sound wrong. Yeah, but I think it's very important to try to reduce your Wi-Fi exposure. And these are tools that shouldn't be shunned. It's not like I'm saying don't use it, but I'm saying be careful and make sure that you're, not spending too many hours a day indulging in this stuff, because the more time that you do, especially if you're not getting exercise and you're not, the exercise can stave off a lot. This is a very important point. Healthy diet, healthy exercise really can do a great deal to help you get better. Jennifer Jim just donated $50 right there and says, thank you, David, for the enlightening information, sending goddess energy around the planet, countering all negativity and helping bring us back into balance. Thank you very much, Jennifer. I really appreciate that. So yeah, the AI thing, I would say exercise is very important. Not getting caught up in too much of the doom scrolling is very important, and learning how to get away from it, learning how to meditate, and just try to be okay with being bored. You don't have to fill your life up with all this stimulation all the time. It's not necessary. Great love and appreciation to you, David, says Julia. That's right. What are your thoughts with what's going on with silver? I'm not really sure, but it says it happened after it hit 50. It's been going up, and I sold it on a high. I sold all my silver off on a high. You are so right, David, to be as concerned as we are. Donald Barker says, I hope to be able to donate next week. Thank you very much. So again, down here at the bottom, it says, with the aid of vacuum gloves and shoes, Koski, Brennan, Lake, and I, Ben Fisher, made ascent to the eyes of the giant Martian face. So they somehow knew that this was going to be happening in 1956, or is it just a coincidence? You can laugh and say, oh, yeah, David is just making this up, but it's pretty wild no matter how you look at it. Pretty freaking wild. Pramila Kalaga says, you are a wonderful teacher. I love the idea of everyone listening donating at least $1, if not more. Well, he donated $20, pushing us into $2,000 for this week's show, which is great. Let's keep them coming. It's really going to help me out as time goes on. I thank you guys so much for doing that. It is so amazing. You really have my back, and I love you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mars and Moon cities underground, according to various super soldiers. Yep, I would definitely say that's true. Terminator becomes nonfiction once we have robots. You're absolutely right. Frank Frazetta was an American artist known for themes of fantasy and science fiction, known for comic books, paperback covers. You're absolutely right. Gold is at 42.20, silver is at 57. Echo 2000 KI says, please, David, do Trama or Angry Daddy. Give us a little fun moment. This is a bummer. Now, son, I don't know how many times I've got to tell you, you're out there scaring people. You think you can get on the air and that you're going to talk about these scary robots and things in the solar system. There's some kind of negative AI that's trying to take over everybody's mind. Well, son, it's easy enough. Just do it like dear old daddy. You don't have to be out there causing all this chaos, okay? You can just try to calm down, be a little bit more relaxed on the air. You certainly don't need to be filling people's minds up with all this fear, son, because I'll tell you what, if it were up to daddy, you just talk about something like music and you do journalism and you wouldn't get people all worried about all this crazy stuff. Because, man, I'll tell you what, I get tired listening to this, David. I don't want to watch your show, man. What the hell? You're trying to give us this information. You got to talk about something positive. Son, can you please try to talk about something more positive? Because this just drives me freaking crazy. You're out there talking all this crap. I have had it. Tell me, Angry Daddy, tell me. David is the man. Amazing. What was driving you? Well, it drives me nuts that my son, I am watching my son go out on live television and telling the world that they should be afraid of frickin' artificial intelligence and their own smartphone and robots. This is ridiculous. I have had it. Well, that's where he comes from. That's Angry Daddy's perspective. I don't want you guys to be afraid. I really don't. And I'm sorry if that's where it's going, because, again, positive and negative ETs alike have been visiting Earth for millennia. This is not just about the negative. Whoops, let's go over there. It's not just about the negative. Daddy knows better. David, you are a multi-talented guy. Sue Pow just donated $100. Thank you very much. We are doing very well on Super Chats today, so I really appreciate you guys stepping up and doing that. It's awesome, and I really appreciate it. So, yes, I've got the Angry Daddy cigarette here. Baby Ruth just donated. Can you remind us what Edgar Casey said about the Antichrist? For the info that you give us, the donation is a great deal. Well, thank you very much for that. Yes, Edgar Casey said the Antichrist arises in people, it arises in groups, it arises in potentially countries, and it is the spirit of hate and strife, fault-finding, lack of patience, negativity. All of those types of negative emotions all fall under the Antichrist banner. Whereas the spirits of Christ, the fruits of brotherly love, positivity, whoops, starting to see my, oh no. Choose restore this tab to reload the page. Okay. Let's see if we can get the page back. Okay, my feed crashed, but now it's back. It looks like I'm okay. All right. Thank God that didn't affect you guys. It only affected me. But I am back. and everything is good. Thank God. You should record yourself as Angry Daddy and make them talk for your YouTube shorts as Echo 2000. It's probably a good idea. Okay, everybody says I'm good. Kitten Chop's mom says I'm good. That's great. Mine crashed 10 minutes ago. Yeah, if you need to reload it, then everything's okay. But anyway, got to make sure whatever I said wasn't too edgy or otherwise. We're still holding true at 3,755 concurrent viewers. That is awesome. All right. Wow, that really scared me. I've never had it completely crash on me before, but it looks like everything's okay, so we'll keep on going. Yes, Cheryl Walker, Sunny Skies can send you that link again. Thank you, Sunny Skies, in advance for that. So positive and negative ETs have been visiting Earth for millennia. And I think about this interesting thing now. We're going to shift to something more positive for a while. There's a Sphinx-like face in pyramids on Mars and in Egypt. What is the connection there? We see this, the pyramids, the face on Mars, and we see the same thing. There's Vakapalo. She just posted to Charlie Winner. Yep. So then we see the Sphinx and the pyramid here. They're right next to each other. The Great Pyramid and the other two pyramids are right next to the Sphinx in Egypt. And there could be far more for us to learn about Egypt that we have never seen before, which would include the idea that Egyptian civilization might have been built by extraterrestrials. So this was really fascinating. Ben Van Kerkwyk wowing the world on Joe Rogan. I had to get this in this week on the incredible work of Louis de Cordier. And so this is Louis de Cordier, and I did not know about him until this just came out. But this is his website, labyrinthofegypt.substack.com. I was unaware of any of this until I saw the posts, but wow. So what they've actually done, it says, new research just confirmed the discovery of an ancient underground labyrinth in Egypt on one of the pyramids at Hawara. And there's a huge metallic UFO in it. It's greater in magnificence than the pyramids. Joe Rogan's latest guest just revealed everything we know about it. Ben Van Kerkwyk says the great lost labyrinth of ancient Egypt was described by figures like Herodotus, Diodorus Siculus, and Pliny the Elder. It was always theorized to have been at this place called Hawara, which is near Fayum in Egypt. In 2017 or 2015, there was an expedition run by a guy named Louis de Cordier in partnership with the Egyptian government. There's a huge metallic UFO in it. Yeah, this is crazy. So here's Hawara. This is shown where it is in northern Egypt. And here's an image of this alleged labyrinth at Hawara, or just this is the overhead view. So you can see from this image that was drawn by Carl Richard Lepsius of 1850 that when you look at the pyramid overhead and then you look below, so there's the pyramid of Hawara, right? And you look below the pyramid and you see there's what looks like a wall there. Now, because I haven't had permission from the guy who was doing this research, and let me again get his name, Louis de Cordier, because I don't have permission from Louis de Cordier to show his images. I mean, normally with science, if it's scientific research under fair use, you can do that, but I want to respect his copyright. But anyway, he has now imaged out this area that is the square region that you see below the pyramid and found out that, yes, there's huge megalithic walls under there and it goes deep underground. You see there's a river that's cutting right through it. That area is actually bigger than the pyramid itself, and apparently it is host to this huge labyrinth down there, which is really, really something. It's the greatest architectural marvel on Earth, and it is connected to Mars, again, because, wait a minute, there's a face on Mars, there's pyramids on Mars, right? We saw that. And then in addition to the face and pyramids on Mars, now we're finding out that there's this spaceship that they found under this labyrinth next to this pyramid in Egypt at Hawara. I mean, it's really, really, really interesting to me. This whole story just blew me away. So let's dig in a little bit, okay? This was something from his paper, the image from Napoleon of the Pyramid of Hawara from the side in Napoleon's book, Description of Egypt. Here is a picture of it from Wikipedia, totally license-free as we see it today. So it's gotten really lumpy and eroded, but it's still there, and it is a pyramid. So let's first get the lay of the land. If you look at the Pyramid of Hawara, it does have inner chambers, like many of them do. And this image was by R.F. Morgan on Wikipedia. It's free for public use. And so this is what he says about the chambers inside. The pyramid viewed from the northwest. The entrance was on the eastern end of the south side of the pyramid. The view shows stone slabs and a mud brick arch that was built to protect a burial vault. This view shows the inner chambers. The design uses 3 dead-end chambers, much like a labyrinth, each sealed with heavy overhead blocks. The first known use of overhead gates in an Egyptian tomb. The corridors lead to an antechamber. The builders had placed a single rock of sandstone or quartzite into a trench in the front of the antechamber. This weighed approximately 110 tons and was hollowed into a vault from a single block of sandstone. How interesting. The sarcophagus and canopic chest were placed into the vault, covered with large, heavy slabs of quartzite. An entrance to the vault, the lower wall of the antechamber, and the block nearest the antechamber was held up by 4 props. We don't need to read all this, but, you know. After the body of the king and the funerary goods, I don't know if there really was a body or not, but the attendants removed the plugs. This allowed the sand to run out, slowly lowering the last covering slab into position and blocking off access from the antechamber as it dropped into place. Love this content, says Ed. David, you rock. Our consciousness fireworks. Well, this is just what we see on the surface and in the pyramid. Now, Wikipedia actually does talk about this. The huge mortuary temple that originally stood adjacent to this pyramid is believed to have formed the basis of a complex of buildings with galleries and courtyards called the Labyrinth by Herodotus. This building was also mentioned by Strabo and Diodorus Siculus, and I'm going to read you those quotes. There is no historicity to the assertion of Diodorus Siculus that this was the model for the Labyrinth of Crete that Greeks imagined housed the Minotaur. So then it says on another page on Wikipedia that's actually for the labyrinth, it was a structure or temple built south of Amenemhat III's pyramid at Hawara, and you saw it from the overhead view again. Not much is known about its use, but it was probably a multifunctional building. Well, it's actually underground, with the palace town administrative center, reminding us of the labyrinth of Minos. This site has garnered interest throughout history. Contemporary examinations have unearthed artifacts from both Amenemhat's reign and the Roman era. More recently, the area has been subject to new studies using geophysical imaging, and that's saying that there's a lot more to that. A high water table may threaten the site's conservation and impede future research. So we don't actually know if it's flooded or not, and it would be interesting to figure out if it is flooded, could we get in there anyway with like a submarine and get to see what this thing was? Because apparently it's really, really something. It's really, really something, folks. So the labyrinth's construction has been most frequently attributed to Amenemhat III, who ruled 1800 BC, the 6th pharaoh of the 12th dynasty, and was likely buried in the Hawara pyramid. And they discovered cartouches of his daughter, suggesting she made additions to the decorations as the first female pharaoh. The structure may have been a collection of funerary temples like those commonly found near Egyptian pyramids. It was also a multifunctional building used as a town administrative center, palace, and place of worship. So then we're back to the tweet again, or the X post. They used ground-penetrating radar, and they found it. They found massive cyclopean walls that were meters thick, a labyrinthine structure, well verified. You have a water table that starts 5 meters below. The labyrinth starts at 9-10 meters. So yeah, it is underwater. There's some controversy around that report because it was squashed by the director of Egyptian antiquities, Zahi Hawass, according to Louis de Cordier. He waited a few years and finally released the report, which then spurred other companies to use new space-based scanning techniques. There's been at least 2 that have been done, very different techniques, but they found the same thing. Massive cyclopean walls that were meters thick, a labyrinthian structure. So again, this is from Description de l'Egypte. This would be the from 1809 from Paris, copperplate engraving, historic illustration of what is going on here. Vacapalo says that, David, you were saying something about fruits of the spirit when your page crashed. Maybe that's a negative greeting. Well, then let me not keep mentioning it again. David puts in good works. Show some respect, says Passion 311. Oops, I slept in. I guess I have to catch up. Thank you, David, for your hard work. You're the best. You're so thorough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this is really fascinating, right? Because you got the pyramid on Mars. You got the face on Mars. You got these pyramids in Egypt. You got the Sphinx next to the pyramids. And now we're finding out on Joe Rogan, the biggest show on the air, that there's a Tic Tac type of UFO in there inside this buried labyrinth. Yes. And again, probably the best way, let me just do this real quick. We got to grab that image and we'll pop it in a couple more times because this really shows you where the labyrinth is from the overhead view. Let me see if we can grab that one more time down here. Yep, okay. All right. So, yeah, it's gigantic, apparently. And, you know, it's all covered over with water, so you're not going to be able to just walk through it anymore. But again, this whole area that looks like a rectangle below the pyramid is all where that labyrinth is, and it's multiple levels. They found multiple levels of it under the ground. They've got some really cool images of what they think it looks like, which again, copyright protected, so I don't want to mess with that in case he, you know, if I can get his permission, it'll all be good. But here's what he says on the air. This was Ben Van Kerwijk. 60 to 70 meters below the ground, there's multiple levels, 3 or 4 levels. One of the most interesting facts come out of this scan was there's a massive central atrium, one big giant open room, 40 to 50 meters long that connects to all of these levels. There seems to be, well, first, okay, massive central atrium, one big giant open room, 40, 50 meters long. Now check this out, folks. This is the craziest part. There seems to be this unidentified metallic object that's freestanding in this room. It's about 40 meters long, and it seems to be shaped like the Tic Tac. And then Joe says it's a frickin' UFO in Egypt. Wow. Now that just took all of the stuff. Joe Rogan, you know, really came in strong with this right after my last show, talking about stuff that is just so mind-blowing. I mean, wow, think about that. Maybe the reason why they built the Sphinx and the pyramids is because they had these ships and they saw the remnant of this ancient civilization on Mars, and they wanted to emulate what they might have justifiably thought were the gods. So they build something similar on Earth to what they actually saw on the neighboring planet. And maybe they used that Tic Tac UFO to get there. Isn't that amazing? And maybe they knew, maybe they were smart enough to see the dead robots and figure out, you know, we don't want to do that here. We don't find a bunch of dead robots here on Earth from that era. Maybe they could have built those, but they were wise enough not to. You know, so we got to really exercise caution with this AI threat. But again, how fascinating. This to me has just turned Egyptology on its end, just like the discovery of the tunnels under the pyramid. We were showing you that stuff before. This is another example of that. Just totally amazing. I'm going to turn my heater on again, so my feet are getting cold again, so we got to go over there and put it back on. But wow, you guys, I mean, 40 to 50 meters down, and there's a Tic Tac shaped UFO down there. I mean, this is just dazzling stuff. And it really, really changes everything that we thought we knew. It really opens up the doorway to a whole lot of interesting speculation. And, you know, did the Egyptians see this coming? They were trying to teach, I believe, you know, in the beginning at least, they were teaching a more positive spirituality. And, you know, the law of one, again, the original contact of the law of one, so they say, was with the Egyptians. So it flows through all these different modalities. But I want to hear more about what the original people said. He alluded to this on the air, that it was from these different ancient authors that talked about this. So there again is the area of the labyrinth. They've done sonic imaging now, ground penetrating radar, and they found this incredible stuff down there. So this is absolutely an incredible new piece of disclosure. It's game changing, and it mirrors something that I heard from Dr. Pete Peterson, another one of my insiders, about the Nazca lines. He said that below the Nazca lines are these huge, perfectly drilled, mirror-polished underground tunnels that they go on with razor-sharp precision for hundreds of miles underneath the ground. We have donations coming in. Want to capture those. We have Michael Christ 1111 donated. Thank you very much. And he donated $30.99. We have Kwan Hong Chan. Says, I dreamed about a big, friendly white guy who was a principal. He hugged me and gave me a life review. He was not happy about my past drug abuse, was proud of everything else. Gave me a score of 40 out of 100 or 14 out of 50. Not sure if he's an ET or an angel. Well, that's a great dream. And yeah, I'm definitely working my own sobriety path, but it's pretty interesting. So yeah, where did this Tic Tac come from? How did it get there? Isn't that really just so incredibly fascinating, you guys? I couldn't believe it. And it makes our narrative really come to life, doesn't it? To me, it absolutely does. Earthbound Misfit says, I feel greatly restless and uncomfortable today. Well, again, you know, we don't need to be there. This is all really interesting stuff. These huge underground tunnels under the Nazca Plateau had hundreds of miles that they would go along, and according to Pete Peterson, they found a total of 539 spaceships that were purchased by the previous administration of 45. And they apparently, I forget what they paid. I think it was like $2 billion or something like that. I forget if that's what it was, but it was some number above $1 billion that was paid to acquire these ships from the Mexican government, apparently, or if it was in Mexico, I think, or whoever it was. But yeah, so those ships are very interesting because, according to what the disclosure said, they travel instantly throughout the galaxy, and you need to have either 7 people in the ship or 27 people in the ship. But it's pretty freaking wild. So anyway, pretty incredible stuff here when you look at how it all fits together and how all the pieces connect. So somebody went astral and he said he entered the Pyramid of Giza through the Nile River. Is this true? I've been reading and watching you ever since as Wanna Pray 333, including your past life. Well, I don't know about entering through the Nile River. I guess at one point you absolutely could. But anyway, we're at 3,800 viewers, and so yeah, I love the fact that there's this connection between Mars and Egypt, and now in Egypt we've got this spaceship under the ground in this labyrinth. It's incredible. So let's learn about the labyrinth a little bit. It's a fascinating connection to the Tic Tac sightings. These ships that were found in, again, they travel instantly throughout the galaxy. So the Nazca Line ships are much better than the Roswell crash and the stuff that we were already building in this so-called legacy program. These ships really, really can book throughout the galaxy, and they're amazing. So it's pretty cool that all these pieces come together. That I'd heard about this from Pete Peterson. I disclosed it years ago. Now here again, we've got parked ships underground at this chamber complex. Maybe we're going to find them under the Great Pyramid too. Maybe those big cubicle rooms down there will have them. Who knows? But it's really pretty awesome. So fascinating connection to the Tic Tac sightings again, because they're being seen in modern times. Does this mean they're the same? No. But maybe there are various extraterrestrial groups that keep visiting us and showing us this. And catch the recording later. My tablet is losing charge. Great show. I love you do the homework right down to the pronouncing of difficult names. You never stumble. You are a genius, says 2000 Shades of Gray. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Angela says, I love it when he breaks down the historical ties. Awakened One, something is supposed to break tomorrow. Well, look, I mean, with all these pieces coming together, disclosure gets very interesting. And I'm trying to give you guys cutting edge information that really, you know, expands our scope, expands our palette of what there is to see here. And that's good. We want to have, you know, as much of that kind of data as we can. And it's a good thing to be able to feel comfortable with what happened. So, yeah, maybe what I'm going to do now is I'll give you guys a video so I can take a break, get my blood sugar up a little bit. I think it's probably a good time to do that just because it's probably good to give a little bit of a pause. So this was the double rainbow video. We're going to show you that one now. And it's just 7 minutes long, but it'll give me a chance to get out of the chair, to take a little walk around, and to get myself some blood sugar enhancement. So anyway, I'll be back to you guys in just a little bit. but I think everybody kind of needs a break. Get some snap, Mr. Wilcock. That's right. Let's do this right now. So the double rainbow video, all I got to do now is mute my microphone, put it on here, and then you'll get to watch me see this incredible rainbow that appeared outside the house at one point, and I'll be back to you guys in just a couple of minutes. I just missed 5 minutes. I'm taking a leak. Yeah, well, I'll have new energy when I get back. So here we go. I'll be back in just a minute. Thank you for watching. Okay, my microphone is off, and now we are going to roll this video, which is just a little bit of fun. Showing you a double rainbow gives us a chance to breathe. We're at 3,700 viewers now. I hope I don't lose anybody. I usually will, but that's okay. We'll be back in just a minute. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you very, very soon. All right, here we go. And action. Oh my God, you guys, I hope this is still happening. There's a rainbow. Rainbow outside. Oh my God, it's there. You don't think this is some kind of magical thing? Oh my God. Look at these clouds. How amazingly lumpy and beautiful they are. And there's the rainbow, dude. I mean, this is a moment. It's a moment of extreme exhilaration. When the universe lines this stuff up like this, dude. I'm not trying to be a comedy character or anything. I'm just speaking honestly about how amazing this looks. These are like little portals, little puffballs. And then look at this. It's a beautiful rainbow. And it's staying still, it's not moving. And here's the clouds. The rainbow is just holding its position. I mean, you can see that it's obviously something that I find very exciting. These clouds are just incredibly majestic looking. They're wonderful. And then you come right over here, and oh my God. I mean, I'm getting totally soaked out here, like doing this video, because I just am in my shirt. And I had to run out here before I lost it. Oh, dude, it's a double rainbow now. Look at this. It's transforming in front of our eyes. It's actually becoming a double rainbow. No way, bro. Double rainbow in my backyard. No, I'm not crying about it, but yeah, we got a double rainbow, guys. And the turnaround function on this camera is disabled. It happened, it's still there. It can't turn around and look at me like it used to because somehow it got screwed up while it was in my pocket at the Air Dominance Summit. But like, this is incredibly supernatural, you guys. If you were here with me right now and you were looking at this with me, the level of cosmic feeling that you get from this is spectacular. So yeah, we've got this whole property, which you can see from up here is just really quite stunning. And you look at these clouds, and then look at that. It is still a double rainbow. I can see two of them over on the left. They're right there together. And it's still going across the sky. I'm getting colder and colder, wetter and wetter. It's starting to fade a little bit now. The rainbow effect is slightly lessening, but it's still got a double. Let's see if I can get it in the driveway. I probably can. losing a little bit of it. It's getting cut off. I mean, wow, dude, what is going on? Look at these clouds. You don't even see the rainbow from here. It's gone. Maybe it's still over there on the porch if we go over there. I mean, wow. It's kind of scary because these clouds are so scary looking. They're very large and they look like fingers. Let's just see now if we can see the rainbow again. Yep. It's still there, by golly. It's moved a little bit, but it's still there. How amazing is that? It's beautiful. All right, you guys, we'll keep this one at 5 minutes. Look at that, look on a circle in the air over there. This has been very, very stunning. It's almost like vertiginous. I get vertigo because I'm so stunned at what I'm looking at in the sky. It's like, wow, dude. I mean, the rainbow is gone now, but this is just really weird, textured, you know? Some people would just toss their cookies. They're like, nope, it's too vivid, it's too wild. I can't keep it down. Boop. Well, brother, that's just kind of you messed around with the wrong stuff, you know? You weren't really experienced enough for this. You didn't know what was going to happen when you made that decision. And yet, look at what's happening up here in the sky, you guys. I mean, this is really strange. Let's see if we still got a rainbow. No, it finally faded. Rainbow finally faded. Would have been right here. But we got to see the rest of the sky. Just enjoy the serenity, you know? Enjoy the peace of what we just witnessed in something like an eclipse, a rainbow, double rainbow for Mr. David Wilcock. Woo! We did it. And it's all good. The sun has gone down, but these clouds live on. Hang on, I'm going to be right back on. Thank you, guys. Bye. Oh my God, you guys. And we are back, and we didn't actually lose anybody. We only lost about 80 people. That's really great. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate that. So yeah, how about this whole situation, like the Hawara pyramids in Egypt, and there's this huge stuff down there that is totally mind-blowing and changes the game, changes reality in a way that we would have never expected, that there's a giant spaceship 40 meters long in this huge labyrinth. I want to learn more about the labyrinth. The idea is that ETs are actually coming here to Earth and they're building these elaborate structures. And that's really fascinating. So, Color Fab says, David, those are called Mamatus clouds, and you can guess why. Oh, I guess the word root explains, says Gene Novacek. I'm not sure, mama, like they look like boobs. Is that the idea? Am I being too inappropriate in saying it that way? Anyway, I want to hear what the ancient guys said to see about Mandala's baby says, I hope you see my comment. Please, 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 what do you think about the reset that's supposed to happen in 19 and a half years? I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard about that particular time frame, but anyway, we're at $2,200 chat revenue. That's incredible. Thank you guys so much for donating so generously. It really does help us out. So this means ETs are coming here and they're building elaborate structures, right? Let's read more about what he actually found. Again, Louis de Cordier, it blows me away, and his hair is even more wild than mine, so now I don't feel so bad. So this is off of his website, and these are just some quotes. He says, the Mataha expedition was a groundbreaking 2008 geoarchaeological study conducted at Hawara, Egypt, the site believed to house the legendary Egyptian labyrinth, a colossal structure described by Herodotus, Strabo, and Pliny as surpassing even the pyramids in their grandeur. The mission aimed to resolve an enduring mystery. Was the labyrinth truly destroyed, or does it still lie hidden beneath the sands? Using ground-penetrating radar, the expedition led by National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics in Egypt and Ghent University uncovered compelling scientific evidence of an enormous underground structure. The findings challenged the long-held belief that the labyrinth had been completely dismantled in antiquity. Instead, a vast complex of interconnected walls and chambers was detected beneath the surface, aligning with ancient descriptions. So this is the title of the paper. And right here, it says Labyrinth of Egypt, Mataha Expedition. And you can see here that this was an illustration. It's just a hypothetical of Luigi Canina, based upon legends and what he thought that would actually look like. So we don't know if this is exactly what it looks like. I mean, the images that they show, which again, they're protected under copyright, are not really like this, but it's in the vicinity. It's at least in the vicinity. Here's another hypothetical of what the labyrinth might look like. And again, there it is from the underground view. And then maybe once again, we'll pop in that overhead view so you can see that part. Maybe we'll get another one of those down here later. All right. Yeah, that's good. Okay. All right. So again, the square area is actually, when you go underground below that pyramid there, that is what they found with the imaging, is where all this stuff is located. Now, if you go to his website and you click on this one, there's a really dandy image that's there of some of what they got with their radar. But again, because it's copyright protected, I'm not going to just throw it up there. And, you know, we got to get permission first before we do something like that. But anyway, it's really cool stuff. They definitely have found something. This is not their imagination. And I'm really excited about this, man, because it just, you know, as the so-called ancient astronaut theorist, it changes the game on so many things. So first, we're going to hear what Herodotus had to say about the Lost Labyrinth, and we'll take it from there. Okay? And it's all very interesting. So this was a website, thearchaeologist.org. It's quoting from Herodotus. He said, "This I have actually seen, a work beyond words. If anyone put together the buildings of the Greeks and the display of their labor, they would seem lesser in both effort and expense to this labyrinth. Even the pyramids are beyond words, and each was equal to many and mighty works of the Greeks. Yet the labyrinth surpasses even the pyramids." Wow. And think about what we now found in there, this tic-tac huge UFO. This is History's Book 2, page 148. Then from his own paper, this is the link. He has a Google Drive link where you can download his PDF scientific paper. He quotes Herodotus even more. And again, this is fair use because it's ancient text. He says, "This I saw myself, and I found it greater than words can say. For if one should put together and reckon up all the buildings and all the great works produced by the Hellenes, they would prove to be inferior in labor and expense to this labyrinth. The upper set of chambers we ourselves saw going through them, and we tell of them having looked upon them with our own eyes. The chambers underground we heard about only, for the Egyptians who had charge of them were not willing on any account to show them." Well, now we kind of know why, don't we? "Saying that here were the sepulchres of the kings who had first built this labyrinth and of the sacred crocodiles. Apparently only people," this is me saying this, "only people with the highest security clearance got to see the Tic Tac UFO in the Grand Chamber discovered by Louis de Cordier and his associates. So they wouldn't let anybody go down there. Isn't that interesting? Highly classified. Accordingly, we speak of the chambers below by what we received from hearsay, while those above we saw ourselves and found them to be works of more than human greatness. This is History's Book 2, page 148, once again. Amazing. Then we have Diodorus Siculus, again from the same link, same source. You can go to his website, Labyrinth of Egypt, substack.com. The Egyptian labyrinth remains absolutely perfect in its entire construction down to my time. For they chose a site beside the channel leading into Lake Moeris in Libya, and there constructed their tomb of the finest stone, laying down an oblong as the shape and a stade as the size of each side, so this is huge, while in respect of carving and other works of craftsmanship, they left no room for their successors to surpass them. Fascinating. When one entered the sacred enclosure, you found a temple surrounded by columns, 40 to each side. This building had a roof made of a single stone, carved with panels and richly adorned with excellent paintings. So that's way beyond any technology we have, right? Of course. It contained memorials of the homeland of each of the kings, as well as the temples and sacrifices carried out in it. And again, sacrifices, that's true. It's bad, okay? So we're not endorsing that, but remember, the Law of One said that the original positivity that the Law of One group, the Ra group, tried to impose was then subsumed by the negativity of the priests and peoples of the era. And this included those people with the elongated skulls. The pharaohs had elongated skulls. They were extraterrestrials, and when they started to do human sacrifice, things started to get negative. But apparently they still had this technology, and they could still do this really amazing stuff with this architecture. So it's pretty incredible learning what's down there. Dor Edgar says, your job is still questioning the Hebrew God, see you in Passover. Yeah, I mean, I have a friend who's Jewish, and we talk about Hashem, and it's all good with me, so I'm not questioning anything. But, you know, I also am very strongly appreciative of Jesus. I believe Jesus is the king, and you know, we all want to go with that. So, but however you choose to believe, I'm not going to judge you. It's just all part of a beautiful dance that we play together. And thank you guys for being here. Anyway, back to the slide. So all skillfully worked in paintings of the greatest beauty. So yeah, these people, they you know, it started to go negative, but it's, again, a very fascinating connection with Mars and all this other stuff. Generally, it is said the king conceived their tomb on such an expensive and prodigious scale that if they had not been deposed before its completion, they would not have been able to give their successors an opportunity to surpass them in any architectural feats. And this is Book 1, 61, 1 and 2, and 66, 3 through 6. So there again, the view from the bottom. And then we have Strabo. And what did he say? There is the edifice of the labyrinth, which is a building quite equal to the pyramids and nearby the tomb of the king who built the labyrinth. A great palace made up of many internal palaces. Before the entrances there lie what might be called hidden chambers, which are long and many in number, and have paths running through one another which twist and turn so no one can enter or leave any court without a guide. And the wonder of it is that the roofs of each of the chambers, again he says this, are made of single stones. This is another person saying the same thing. And the width of the hidden chambers is spanned in the same way by monolithic beams of outstanding size. For nowhere is wood or any other material included. And above this city stands Abydos, in which there is the Memnonium, a palace wonderfully constructed of massive stonework in the same way as we have said the labyrinth was built, though the Memnonium differs in being simple in structure. And this is Book 17, 1, 3, 37, and 42. I don't know if I got all those quotes. So let's have one more. This is Pliny the Elder. And this is another one that he links in his same study. Again, it's a classic fair use work. Let us speak also of labyrinths, quite the most extraordinary works on which men have ever spent their money, but not, as may be thought, figments of the imagination. There still exists even now in Egypt in the Heracleopolite nome, the one which was built first, according to tradition, 3,600 years ago by King Petasuchus or Tithwas, though Herodotus ascribes the whole work to 12 kings and Psammetichus, the latest of them. And again, these are probably extraterrestrials with elongated skulls. Within a small compass that involves one in miles upon of walking, as we see in tessellated floors, the displays given by boys on the campus, but that frequently doors are buried in it to beguile the visitor into going forward and then force him to return to the same winding paths. There's your labyrinth concept. This was the second to be built after the Egyptian labyrinth, the third being in Lemnos and the fourth in Italy, all roofed with vaults of polished stone. There it is again. Can you imagine how beautiful it must be? Though the Egyptian specimen, to my considerable astonishment, has its entrance and columns made of Parian marble, while the rest is of Aswan granite, such masses being put together as time itself cannot dissolve, even with the help of the Heracleopolitans, for they have regarded the building with extraordinary hatred. It would be impossible to describe in detail the layout of that building in its individual parts, since it is divided into regions and administrative districts called nomes, each of the 21 nomes giving its names to one of the houses. A further reason is the fact that it also contains temples of all the gods of Egypt, while in addition, Nemesis placed in the building's 40 chapels many pyramids of 40 ells each, covering an area of 6 aurora with their base. Well, let's dig into that. 40 ells each. What is that, first of all? Okay, so the ancient Egyptian ell was a measure of length equivalent to the royal cubit, approximately 20.6 to 20.7 inches. Okay, and then the aurora is about 2/3 of an acre, as it says right here, a square of 100 Egyptian cubits on each side. So then what we have is the aurora in terms of the length of each side, it's about 172 feet on the side of an aurora. And then the L, when you got 40 L's put together, that's 69 feet. Okay, so we got, again, 172 feet is the side of the aurora, and 69 feet is the side of 40 L's. So here we go. Pyramids of 40 L's, so again, 6 aurora at their base. Wow. 40 L's each, 69 feet, 6 aurora at the base would be, again, 172 feet times 6, so that's huge. Obviously, that's huge. Wow. So this is massive. People are already weary with traveling when they reach the bewildering maze of past. There are lofty upper rooms reached by ramps and porticos from which you descend on stairways with 90 steps each, columns of imperial porphyry, that's purple granite, images of the gods, statues of kings, and representations of monsters. Certain of the halls are arranged in such a way that as one throws open the door, there arises a fearful noise of thunder. Moreover, you pass through most of them in darkness. Yeah, so it's very intense, huh? And gods and demons. So you're seeing angels and demons. You see both types, representations of monsters. Isn't that interesting? So this is his article where he's talking about the moment of discovery when they did the ground-penetrating radar. This is Louis de Cordier. Louis, the sudden call pierced the room. I turned. 10 scientists looked at me, their faces brazen, eyes gleaming like mischievous treasure hunters. They motioned for me to sit beside Dr. Abbas. Behold, he said, pointing at the screen, the first survey results. This is something huge, he whispered with restrained excitement. Look here, a massive wall beside the pyramid extending straight down over 17 meters deep, several meters thick. This is big, Louis, really big, and there's more. It's everywhere. Well, I didn't see anything about the Tic Tac, but this guy was talking about it on the air. It's probably in de Cordier's videos. All the instruments agree, walls, chambers, structures, far deeper than Flinders Petrie's recorded 5-meter foundation level. He looked up and he was dead serious. You found the labyrinth, it is still here. So again, this whole rectangular area below the pyramid, when you look at their radar images and what they've reconstructed, it just looks like a series of square rooms in that area, and they go deep down underground, 17 meters or more. This massive, incredible labyrinth with, again, somehow a 40-meter wide room in there with a big UFO in it. I mean, to me, this is just so stunning. It's like, yeah, this is definitely what I want to talk about today. It's definitely where I want to go. Urbana Calling is kind of knocking me for ego. Hey, David, I love you, but I feel your childhood wound of not being overheard, which leads to you subconsciously checking for clues that you are of importance. Your power lies in letting go of ego. Well, I mean, okay, you can say that if you want to. Thank you for the donation, but I do like to dig into all this stuff. And David Mao Color says, David, I've been a loyal follower for 17 years. You are the original disclosure journalist. You have so much integrity. God bless you. Here's Miles Servin. He just donated $20. Hello, David. Cash for the cause. So, forgive me if you've already covered this. What can you tell us about Stavati? Well, there's some new stuff going on with Stavati. We're not going to talk about that too much, but there are things happening that are interesting. And anyway, that's good. So yeah, there's new developments that we will be exposing as time goes on. But again, until we have board approval, I can't really go into any detail on that. But it is all very positive. Midnight Mark just gave the donation. Yes, thank you very much for that donation link. You guys are awesome. So anyway, this is only the latest underground city to be discovered. He also described on Joe Rogan the Hall of Records once again, which is the key Casey prophecy about our mass ascension. And the positive ETs do want to see us go through a transfiguration. So there's a very big difference between, again, the negative AI agenda, which is all about like wiring you into a matrix and turning you into a robotic slave of some kind. Whereas the positive agenda is very different than that. The positive agenda is about peace and learning to be forgiving and loving and emulating the qualities of Christ. And you obviously know which choice I've made and where I want to take this for myself. There's no doubt about it. So he said there are, in fact, tunnels beneath the Sphinx. Ben Van Kerkwick says these stories of this Hall of Records beneath the Sphinx go back thousands of years. Arab historians like al-Masudi talked about these tales of tunnels and chambers beneath the Sphinx. You hear stories of the Hall of Records. People like Edgar Cayce, woohoo, the American psychic in the 1940s. He would fall into a trance-like state and have these visions. He did talk about locations for 3 halls of records, which were Atlantean caches of information, like a pre-Diluvian civilization. He did call it Atlantis. Yeah. The famous Hall of Records, he said, was beneath the paws of the Sphinx, not just the Arabs, but also Herodotus and these other guys. Also talked about the Sphinx and everything else being vastly more ancient even than the pyramids. And yes, we heard that obviously there's an ancient civilization underneath the pyramid, underneath the Sphinx that's much older. And so that's good. So anyway, all this stuff is happening now. And here he was again on Joe Rogan. He also discussed the sacred celestial alignments. Every time the conversation turns to ancient geometry and cosmic ratios, you watch the skeptics panic. It's just coinky-dink numerology. Stop playing with numbers, except the numbers aren't arbitrary. Let's look at 42, 43,200, and 432,000. They show up in myth, architecture, temple design, timekeeping, and cosmic measurements across cultures that supposedly never met. The Great Pyramid encodes Earth's shape and size with a precision we didn't achieve until we had satellites. The longitude problem our humans couldn't solve until the 18th century. It's embedded in the structure thousands of years older. Then you get the 108 ratio. And again, 108 is a very important number. 1080, all that kind of stuff. The moon's diameter times 108 is its distance to Earth. The sun's diameter times 108 is also its distance to Earth. Isn't that amazing? And again, this is because, according to what I've heard, that the moon was actually manufactured. And so Ben Van Kerkwick got that part in there. And, you know, this is great. The idea of the precision of that 108 multiplier, that it creates the distance from the Earth, again, showing the whole thing was actually artificially manufactured for sacred reasons. They both have the same ratio. This crazy doesn't even end there because the ancient temples from India to Cambodia are all built around the same number. At some point, you have to stop calling it a coinky-dink and admit what it's looked like. Someone or something in the deep past had accurate knowledge of the Earth, the sky, and the cosmic cycles that we're only now beginning to catch up to. We don't know who, what, or when, but the clues are everywhere. Don't miss this episode. I love his intellect and knowledge on this subject, which is equally met by Joe's enthusiasm. I haven't even had a chance to watch the whole thing, but yes, it's very, very cool. I did not know about Louis de Cordier. I did not know about the Labyrinth. And man, it has just set me on fire. So what a week it's been for disclosure. What a time it's been to be alive and to learn about these things. And I'm super, super excited about it. Let's see what you guys are saying over here. Bobby Ball says, you're doing great, David. Star Wars shows the Emperor underneath his black cube and he is plugged into it. That's interesting. Linda said that. Apparently there are advanced beings who never used electricity as energy. That's right. The AI, as we were saying, it apparently feeds off of human negative energy instead of feeding off of electricity. Kiki 2.0, David, I love your voice. I hear the authenticity and love in every word you speak. You give us something to think about each week, especially staying in the love vibration. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I do appreciate your comments very much. We're at 2 hours and 40 minutes. So let's talk about this stuff. Historic contacts with human ETs often end up becoming religions. And this, again, would include stuff that's in the Old Testament and the New Testament. I think that they're all, disclosure should involve this. We don't want anybody constraining the narrative because, again, this is a cosmic battle for your soul. And I think that religion and spirituality is often relegated into a mythological category. But now we've got a huge UFO inside this labyrinth that they founded on ground-penetrating radar. I mean, wow. Things are changing. The world is changing. If we get disclosure, we're going to have to look at everything differently. And I don't want the religion component to be left out. They always try to exclude that from everything that we get. But to me, we shouldn't do that. We should include it. It should be a very big part of the process of everything that we're getting. So anyway, yes, they become religions, the human contacts with ancient ETs. That's where this ends up going. The Labyrinth has expanded this discovery even more, and I'm truly impressed to have learned about this new information. It's rare that something gets me that excited, but man, it's one of the most groundbreaking things I've heard in a long time, I have to say. 84 Sophiel Mediat says, the moon seems super suspicious to me. Omark says, to think the Egyptians wanted to omit pyramids in the Egyptians' history does not resonate with the Islamic theme and current times. Well, I think there might be other reasons. They might not be, they might not, I think they just, there's a disclosure factor here. They don't want this to be disclosed. They don't want humanity to wake up from its slumber. There is a war going on. There is a cosmic battle for your soul. And there's negative and positive, and both sides are represented by various groups on Earth. The negative side wants to keep you asleep. It has a transhumanist agenda. It wants to serve the benefits of the AI, and we're really seeing the AI making moves forward that you never would have expected to see, but yet now they're actually happening. So it's fascinating, very fascinating. So we have positive ETs that actually can project into human form. This is something we hear consistently from insiders, that the ETs that are the good guys actually are energy beings. They're orbs of light, but they can project into any type of body they want, whereas the negative beings are not like that. They are stuck with the bodies they've got. They can't just change them. So these positive beings exist at a whole other dimensional level higher, and in the law of one, that would be fifth density versus fourth density would be the difference there. Positive UFOs also function as time machines. They can travel all throughout time and space. They can go wherever the hell they want, and that's a pretty fascinating part of the story. You know, as you get into all this, the time travel and the fact that when we acquired these ships through reverse engineering, that normal humans can't handle the time travel. We get something called transdimensional disorder, and it's very difficult for the people who try to do that. So we needed to find ways to build UFOs or UAPs or, back-engineered craft that don't create time travel because it's just too difficult for us. Plus, you really don't want to create time paradoxes. This is actually a real problem. You got to be very careful about what you do and where you go and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to just try to run around and travel in time. It's not a good idea. Om says, evil is a disharmonious wave looking for a place to exist. The evil energy could enter an AI system unless we fill the space with 432 hertz of love. That's right. Have you heard about an astrologically huge labyrinth or a library, gigantic library in the Tibetan mountains? I have not. Urbana Calling says, David, it's not nagging. I feel this is an important thing for your ascension as a donation. You bless us all with your sharp mind, but also your system does this to not feel past emotions. You are complete in the here and now. Thank you. David, would you consider doing a live stream where we could watch a movie for subscribers together? Says Kiki 2.0. I'm willing to try anything. You know, let's just keep on pushing the envelope here and see how we can do. But anyway, Ross Feinstein just answered, you know what's best for David's ascension? Well, I'm open to suggestions. I certainly will respectfully honor people's opinions, and you know, there's always work I can do on myself, so no problem there. Positive ETs are continually trying to give us the same message, and I believe that this is appearing all throughout history. There's very uniform consistency in that message because, again, there's a cosmic battle going on for your soul, and so the positive ones are always telling us to be more positive, to be more loving. They always stress the importance of meditation, humility, patience, compassion, service to others, being a good steward of the earth, having a helpful approach, treating people with love. And Urbana Calling says, let's not say I'm just anyone. David knows what my name signifies. We love you, David, and you are prepared for a role. Well, thank you. All right. So Stargate SG-1 again talks about time travel paradoxes. All right. Space Cadet Lottie says, Ross Feinstein, brilliant, gives him hand claps, and we have smash the like button from Kiki 2.0. All right. The entire UFO phenomenon is now being framed in this new disclosure as if it were a threat. And I don't really feel that's true. So I want to go back and review some fundamentals. So you've seen this before, but in case you haven't, it's very important to bring it up again. Both the Old and the New Testament, I mean, think about it. If the president is going to disclose, now is the time to get back into this Bible reality check data about quotes in the Old and New Testament. BibleRealityCheck.com, very, very important website. Yes, I do think arrests are coming. Somebody just asked that. So when we look at the angels of the Bible, we see seraphim or fiery spirits, cherubim, the all-knowing ones, thrones, those that have many eyes, dominions who carry the scepter and the sword, virtues are called brilliant shining ones. So these would be luminous beings. Powers who prevent the fallen angels from taking over the world, and principalities who are guardian angels of cities, nations, and rulers. There's all these different levels of angel beings in the Bible. And now we think, oh, that's all mythology, that's all myth and superstition. Well, is it really? No, probably not. There's something going on here. The word heaven appears some 700 times in the Bible. The Old Testament Hebrew is shamayim. The New Testament Greek is uranos. Now this is totally mind-blowing. Shamayim, if you look at any other book that's translated from the same time as the Bible, the translation of these words is outer space, sky, cosmos, or universe. Wow. So every time that we see the word heaven, we're actually hearing outer space. It's not some mystical higher dimension. It's actually representative in other texts of outer space. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Our Father who art in outer space. Wow. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in outer space. Whew. So again, yeah, Jesus is king, says Ray Bird. I totally agree. There's so many levels of angels, says 84 Sophie. It's really, really fascinating. Do you think that 47 will disclose anything this year? I don't know. They might be getting ready to do it pretty soon, and it's going to change everything. I mean, people are going to have so many questions. There's going to be so many things they want to know, so many places this could go. Are there any similarities to this new movie and the one you did? Would you do an online event streaming your movie with you narrating? Well, I don't know what movie you're talking about. Most of my content is created live. I'd have to do a lot of work to do a movie, and I'd need to be probably not living up here in the middle of nowhere. So in the future, I want to do more like that, but I got to get out of my landlock first, because up here it's just, you know, I'm kind of trapped where I am. But anyway, back to the slide. Uranos is outer space, Shamayim, same thing. So both the Old and the New Testament are talking about outer space when they say heaven. That is incredible. All other works from this biblical period translate that way when you see these words. Okay, the word God in Hebrew is Elohim, and it's plural, not singular, which is interesting. Translates as mighty ones. Appears 2,750 times in the Old Testament. The Hebrew writers used this word Elohim for both good and evil entities. You might not have known that, but that is true. So that's pretty fascinating. The word angel, so Elohim, you know, fascinating, could be either kind. The Old Testament Hebrew is malach. The New Testament Greek is angelos. And it translates as the one who is sent, meaning messenger or emissary, one of the mighty ones, an extraterrestrial emissary. So wow, very, very fascinating. And now it's a little bit warm, so let me go and turn the heater off here, because I'm actually finally feeling warm enough, which is nice. It's nice to be there. All right. So again, disclosure is going to have these elements. We're going to learn all these things that we didn't already know. We're going to find out about the emissaries, the messengers, the ones who were sent to earth from heaven, from outer space, the Elohim, which is plural, the mighty ones. Very, very interesting, isn't it, how all these pieces are starting to fit together. And Light World says, if you lack wisdom, ask God. First, clean the inside of your cup so the outside can also be clean. Who will get everlasting water if you have a cup full of dirt? You're absolutely right. Paul Wallace talks about this ET connection using the root words of the Bible, says Paul Cannon. Charlie Winter says, above majestic. Yes, we did mention this in that movie as well. This is a true story, but only the facts have been distorted. That's right. We're not getting all the information about how all the pieces fit together, but we can put it back together, and that's what's so cool, that we're actually doing that now. Open X7D says, real history is so much better. We love your show. Diane and Owen, thank you very much for the donation. I really appreciate it. The word Beelzebub, Baal-zebub, in the Old Testament, and Urbana Calling says it is one creator splitting us all in to transcend the illusion of being alone, all one in singularity. Don't wait for other aspects of you to give you meaning and importance, just be. So is the word MAGA or something close to that, a sort of star system in the Ophiuchus constellation or astrological sign? I don't know. That's interesting. My parrot and I pray one Our Father and one Hail Mary every night before he climbs into his fleece bed. It is a true ceremony between us, just staying prayed up together. In the morning we thank Jesus. All right. Wonder Laura says, I feel you are back to your old self today. David, you have great focus. Thank you very much. Monica DeVries Howard says, I'm thinking Alaska has more to it than we realize. The Black Pyramid is something more than we know. Yes, the Black Pyramid is interesting. And that is part of the story. And we have 22 likes right now, that exact number. So smash the like button if you haven't already done so. In 1977, Karen Carpenter sang a song about off-world beings as our benevolent emissaries. And you're right, it's calling occupants of interplanetary craft. And it's funny because we have a slide for that if I can make it that far, but we might not on this show. Baal-zebub, or Beelzebub in the New Testament. The Chaldean Baal means ruler or overlord. Obviously, that's the negative entity that we're all hearing about. Zebub is a fast-flying insect that stings. Ooh. So Baal is flying in some type of craft, traditionally translated as Lord of the Flies, but it may indicate that this was a sky god with flight capability who could sting with weapons. So you see how, again, the cosmic battle for your soul is, it's enshrined in religion. It's very clear which way to go. It's very clear to me what the negative side is, what the positive side is, and how they try to communicate this. And again, here's Baal flying around in a UFO, the Lord of the Flies. How interesting. How interesting. And could sting you with the weapons. So then we have these 3 human extraterrestrials. They look normal, but they're thrown into a furnace that could burn human flesh. And this is because the king didn't believe that they were angels of the Lord. So he said, screw you guys, I'm throwing you into this furnace 7 times hotter than it takes to burn a human being. And here's what happens in the book of Daniel when he does that. The king's high officials gathered around and saw that the fire had no effect on the bodies of these men, nor was a single hair on their heads singed. And Marcy says, thanks for all the great info, David, love you. And then B2R Storm says, how many of us would have the bees and brains to go online? Big respect for David, thank you very much. And Scarlet Fire is talking about the book of Revelation, groups of people falsely claiming to be followers of God, but were persecuting Christians. Petition for singing during every teaching, please, says Space Cadet Lottie. Oh my gosh. Does the book of Revelation talk about stinging insects? Yes, it does. It talks about the locusts, the plague of locusts. That's interesting. That could be another angle there. Christ's love channeled into the heart and the right brain hemisphere. The body is the vehicle for transformation, says Officer Problem. So these guys were thrown into this furnace, but the fire had no effect on their bodies. Not even a single hair on their head was singed. The king then responded and said, blessed be the mighty ones of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent their emissary to deliver their servants. So there you go. This was a case where in the Bible, and they make that point on the website, these people look human. They don't look unusual. They don't actually have wings. Angels are human-looking emissaries. It's in the Bible. So the ETs have been here for a long time. It doesn't matter whether you trust me or believe in me or not. I'm just doing the research and connecting the dots so you can see how these pieces fit together. Let's fluff that up a little bit. Pretty interesting how it all fits. Melchizedek is described in Hebrews 7:3 as an immortal being with very interesting properties. There's no earth-human heredity is assigned to him, and it's implied that he is an extraterrestrial or Elohim. You can look that up. So extraordinary, the Hebrew author refuses to give much more information of anything having to do with that. Then we have Deuteronomy 33. There is none like the mighty ones of Israel who ride from heaven, outer space, who ride from outer space to your help and through the skies majestically. There you go. Right there in the Old Testament, proof positive that they're talking about sky gods. They're talking about flying through the skies from outer space, the Elohim, which could be both positive or negative, coming out there to help us as human beings. Very, very interesting. And okay. Somebody said they were being ignored, but I'm sorry if anybody feels like they were ignored. I'm not trying to do it on purpose. It's tough to get everybody here. There's a whole bunch of comments coming in. They come in fast, folks, and it's always running. You can see the movement just keeps on going and going and going. Scarlet Fire says, Father, I give you my authority in Jesus to affect my life and those around me in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Suzanne Harmon says, Jesus said he was from the priesthood of Malachi. So this is pretty fascinating, isn't it? From outer space to your help through the skies majestically. And we have Psalms 68, 33 through 34. To him who rides through the distant cosmos, which is from ancient times, his strength is in the skies. Amazing. Amazing. Isaiah 19:1. Behold, Yahweh is riding on a swift cloud. Isaiah 66:15. Behold, Yahweh will come in fiery chariots like the whirlwind. Isn't that great? I mean, fiery chariots, that's basically the definition of a glowing UFO, and the whirlwind looks like a tornado, so there's some kind of vortex activity around it. But yeah, this is really, really interesting when you look at how all the pieces fit together. Really, really interesting to me. The chariots of the mighty ones are myriads, thousands upon thousands, and Yahweh is among them. Hmm. How interesting. Chariots of thousands. So this was not just like a small number of sightings. These were huge fleets of UFOs that people were seeing in Old Testament times. And it's pretty fascinating. Scarlet Fire, please share. Jesus said he did not come to teach a new religion, but rather a new way of living, thinking, and praying, which he called the way. Midnight Mark says, if you come in here to whine, do it with style at least. Thank you. That's funny. If I win the Powerball tomorrow, I will donate $1 million to David. Send that info out into the ether, says Joseph Yanni. I could certainly use it, and I really appreciate it. You guys want me to do a conference at some point? Yeah, we got to figure out how to do that. After the winter, I think we'll try to do more of that kind of stuff. Or do you think that I cannot appeal to my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of extraterrestrial troops? This is Jesus now. And so Jesus actually said this. And again, extraterrestrial is the word that they change in the Bible Reality Check. I think he's probably talking about Elohim or something like that, but takes on a whole new meaning that Jesus was actually being supported by physical, in some senses, physical UFOs, physical extraterrestrial beings. Very, very interesting. And so check this out. Although Hebrew and Greek language scholars do translate Shamayim and Uranos as sky, outer space, universe, etc., in other works, the transcribers of the biblical manuscripts remain stubbornly committed to the traditional religious rendering of heaven in our English Bibles. And Yeshua was saying unto them, John 8:23, you are from earth below, I am from Uranos above, outer space. You are of this world, I am not of this world. So again, Jesus said he's from heaven, but now we got to wonder, what does that really mean? And so Jesus, I do believe, was a being that was not a normal being at all. We have immaculate conception. That's pretty strange. He comes from somewhere. He came to earth to teach us, to enlighten us, to give us a path to salvation. And that's really a wonderful thing. It was a great gift for humanity. What's really going on here? Why would it be that heaven translates as outer space again? What is he actually implying here? Did he come from some other part of the cosmos? And then did that being get personality transparency, as the law of one would say, where he became the embodiment of the galactic mind? That's what I think actually happened. But there's this whole thing in insider, it's going to upset some people, but insiders in the various space program stuff, the classified programs, they do believe that Jesus was an extraterrestrial being of some kind. Uranus sounds like the planet Uranus, Vakapala says. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Tyre Daily says, today is an epic day in history for David. Father Yahweh has great plans for him. One way, one king, Jesus, love one another. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Jesus had a direct connection to the true divine beyond any level of demigods. He had his transformation in the desert. I would agree. He got direct that's what they call it in the law of one. Personality transparency. And again, I don't think that this cosmic battle for your soul is really that hard, but I just want you to be aware of what the playing field is and that both sets of temptations are being offered. There's negative temptations. There's also temptations for the positive. If you want to do the right thing, you want to be a good person, you will be rewarded. And that's really cool. Sandra Hutchins donated. Thank you very much for that. $19.99. Appreciate it very much. So yeah, this is a game changer, isn't it? I am not of this world. I am from Uranos, outer space. Whatever you want to say. My kingdom is not of this world. This is John 18:36. If my kingdom were of this world, then my servants would be fighting, that I might not be delivered up to so-and-so. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here. Okay. So that's another very telling indication that there's something weird going on here. And then in Acts 1, 9 through 11, after Jesus had said these things, he was lifted up while they were looking on, and a cloud received him out of their sight. A cloud received Jesus out of the... This is the last time. This is Jesus' final departure. The last time in the Bible that he's around before he disappeared. He is taken up in a cloud that disappeared him out of sight. What is that? What is that actually representing? And as they were gazing inherently into the sky, Uranus, while he was departing, behold, two angelic human men in white clothing stood beside them. And they also said, Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking into the sky, Uranus, into the heaven? This Jesus who has been taken up from you into heaven, Uranus, will come back in just the same way as you have watched him go into heaven. He will come back in a cloud. So yes, could clouds be a reference to UFOs? Well, you guys have seen me show you this before, but it's very interesting. The miracle of the snow, Masolino de Panical, 1428 to 32, is this fascinating drawing that again shows Jesus and Mary in a cloud, and then there's a whole fleet of these clouds in the area. And yeah, this looks like some sort of mass UFO sighting. And as I've said many times before, it's also associated with some type of miracle in the snow. That's the title of the thing. Some type of weird geometric formation that appeared in the snow. And Ross Feinstein said he got kicked off for the 4th time, and it was when clouds were being mentioned. That's very interesting. Sorry about that, Ross. I'm glad you're still here. So these religious contacts also have had advanced scientific knowledge. We've talked about this before. Many different things that are all coming into view now. The incredible nature of the Star of David itself, we've talked about that a bunch, that there is an underlying geometric unity in creation. So again, this was Dr. Nima Arkani Hamed, the latest, greatest scientific information with his partner Yaroslav Trunkov. They wrote the first book on this, Quantum Magazine, Jewel at the Heart of Quantum Physics. And what did they discover? They discovered that all of space and time is the emanation of a single geometric form, which just so happens to look like the Star of David. And so, again, we're seeing the Tic Tac UFO showing up in Egypt inside this labyrinth. We're seeing biblical UFOs, and now we see the Star of David itself has connection to the most advanced physics, the Merkaba. It's very fascinating. I never get tired of talking about this because it has dazzling philosophical implications. So they call it, again, the amplituhedron, or the positive Grassmannian. And this is an object that is the summary of all of the quantum physics squiggles that we see at the quantum level. So this is actually his technical drawing of it. And so what does this mean? This means that every quark, every electron, every proton, every neutron, every different type of, neutrino or subatomic particle that you could possibly measure, all of them can be traced back to jiggles coming off of this one shape that is outside of space and time. In other words, the entire universe is supposedly in space and time made out of this one shape. And it's weird that it kind of looks like a fortune cookie or a Pac-Man. And so, again, Sir Roger Penrose was working on this in the 1970s. He had a bunch of debates with Stephen Hawking about what is the nature of the universe, how did it start? Stephen Hawking argued the Big Bang, which is the conventional theory we all hear. But then, the other side of the coin is what happened with this amplituhedron. That was Sir Roger Penrose's theory. So he had a prototype of the model, but it wasn't really the same as what we see now. And he didn't quite get all the math right. He was on the way, but he didn't quite get all the math right. So it never quite worked out, but he got close. And yes, thank you for the donation link. Again, it's another way you can help us out, and I really appreciate your help. So then what I'm saying is that it looks like the Merkaba, if you just add some more tetrahedrons on to the whole thing, it looks pretty similar, doesn't it? So this is where I'm fusing the two together. Now, is this exactly scientific? Probably not. But again, it's made out of just 4 tetrahedrons, which is fascinating. So what's really going on there, and how does this all fit together? It's a really beautiful model of the universe because it's telling us that we are all emanating from this one form. That seems like a very extraterrestrial type of knowledge, doesn't it? And it's interesting that the Jewish Star of David, and you also see the Sephiroth in the Kabbalah. The Jewish Kabbalah also has tetrahedrons in it as well. Very also curiously similar to this, where did all this information come from? Why is the Hebrew language this tetrahedral language that you can get the different letters of the Hebrew language by having a spiral inside a tetrahedron? That's Stan Tenon's work. And as you rotate the tetrahedron 27 different ways, and you reflect that onto the wall of the tent, you get the 27 different Hebrew fire letters. So there's something really interesting going on. Hebrew is very likely a galactic language that did not come from Earth but was imported, and the Star of David is not an accident. So I love this stuff, and I never get tired of talking about it, because again, all of this to me says time is not linear in the greatest sense. The time is created by some type of, supernatural form that exists in this hyper position where it's making all of space and all of time out of itself. And then we find out that the universe already happened. Time doesn't really exist, whatever it is, and yet at the same time, the law of one says the universe is in a state of becoming. So we kind of have to reconcile both of those things together, how the universe is in a state of becoming, but the universe also already happened. And I believe we can do that. We are now creating the now, creating a new awakening as the now is unfolding in front of us. That's what the law of one said. The universe is in a state of becoming. Okay. So the amplituhedron mirrors the Star of David and Tibetan mandalas. I've showed you this before, but again, I never get tired of talking about this. I'll do it anytime I can because disclosure is coming in fast. Why not? Let's line up all of our best data while we've got the chance. So here's a Tibetan mandala of the creation of the universe, showing these layers of rainbows. Again, it's like the rainbow body is when you re-inhabit that original essence that you were. And there's the tetrahedron right in the middle of it, the Merkaba, Star of David. Wow. And here's another example of it where you even see the internal geometries. They're all displayed. Here's another example, Tibetan mandala. If you haven't seen me say this before, I'm not going to dwell on it, but vibrations of sound in water create these geometries. This was from Dr. Hans Jenny. All you're seeing here is water that has sand in it, and the Star of David that you see is simply caused by the sand particles. The sand particles are white, the rest of the water is black, and you're just vibrating it with a pure sound frequency, and you get this amazing geometric shape. So sound and vibration manifests as geometry in physical form. Officer Problem says, Jesus says in Course in Miracles, forget the world is old. Right on. The world gives the illusion of change. It's the same thing happening on a loop. Not many realize this. Yep. So there again is the two vibrational phases of the same sand in the water. You play a different sound frequency, you get different geometry, which that never stops being amazing to me, that the geometry will change based on what sound you're playing into it. And here we see all these different geometric forms all emanating from the same drop of water with the same sound. It all coalesces back to these 5 basic Platonic solids. These are the most common vibrational shapes that come out of this system. This would be the dodecahedron, tetrahedron, octahedron, icosahedron, and cube. And here they are again. So, what is that original shape that created the universe? What is that original shape? And again, this takes me back to the greatest series ever created. I can't thank you enough, David, for all you do, says Rich Vagel. Well, thank you, Rich. I appreciate it. What is the original tetrahedron? I believe that it's actually the photon. And I say that because, again, Dr. Radek Chopkiewicz created a hologram of a single light particle, a feat that was previously thought impossible. So now you're looking at a photon, but wait a minute, it looks like the Maltese cross. That's right. And so you can tilt the tetrahedron, the Merkaba, on its side and see that, yes, the photon is a Merkaba. Photons exhibit as Merkabas, and it looks even better when you do it on the other side, right here, that the Merkaba shows up. Vacapalo says, Ecclesiastes 1, 9 through 10, what has been will be again. And look at how the blue areas on the outside of the white shape that I've created there fit so perfectly with the faces. It's an absolute perfect match. Pretty freaking amazing. So the amplituhedron is actually the first photon in the universe. This was creation. Everything from the universe emanates from this one photon that created light. The photon fractalizes into the first star, which they call in the esoteric traditions the primordial sun. That then fractalizes into the first galaxy, which fractalizes into a supergalaxy, and all those blueprints are still visible. So let's check this out. First of all, when you look at the tetrahedron, you see there's an octahedron hiding inside of it. The geometry on that is very consistent. And you can see that here and here. This is an illustration that I showed you. I made it myself, actually, modified it from something that was already there. And here's somebody that redid my illustration online. I chose that one as well. Now, this is where you see the Merkaba, and you have the octahedron tilted off to its side inside the center of it. Now, what would happen if this is the beginning of the universe and it exploded out this way from the octahedron, from that gray area inside, and gas and dust exploded out into the universe? Well, that's what I think is happening, because the whole universe shows up in an octahedral pattern. And this is the idea that there is a supergalaxy. What we see here is along the ecliptic plane in the middle, you see that supergalactic area. And Beverly Adams talking about J.J. Hertog's book, Keys of Enoch. She just donated. Thank you very much. You have a supergalaxy in the middle. That line along the middle is where the galaxy is, right? And then above and below it is the gas and dust. But what's so weird is that it actually has this pattern that's tilted on its side, just like the octahedron is tilted on its side. You roll this all up into a sphere, and it looks like an octahedral shape. So I'll show you that in just a second. This is leftover gas and dust from the dawn of the universe is what we're looking at right here, okay? That's the mapping of what that is. And when you roll it into a sphere, it has this octahedral shape. You can see the octahedron there along the equator. It's got 4 points. It goes around, 2 pyramids put together. It's freaking amazing, you guys, that the entire universe exploded out of this one original photon. The octahedron is on its side. And so you see the tilt in the natural geometry, and it's the same tilt in the gas and dust clouds in the universe. And then all of our galaxies put together are held up in a big matrix of octahedrons. And this was shown right here by Einasto and Bataner and Florido. So check this out. What we see is these 2 octahedrons, and you notice that they're geometrically positioned, and there are blobs all along the edges of them, blobs along the corners. Those are where all the galaxies are. There's no other galaxies except for these superclusters. The superclusters of galaxies show up along the edges and the points, and it's incredible. I mean, look at how perfect they are. They like the one that says Hercules at the top there, it goes on the line. There's one that says Phoenix that goes below the line. And you can see that it's only along the octahedrons that these guys are forming, which is really incredible. I had a dream this morning that said I had to put this into the show, by the way. I wasn't going to do this, but I said, I got to put this in the show. The dream was very specific. So, superclusters along electrical filaments, says Logic Q Tech Gaming. You're absolutely right. There is an electrical component to this. I think it's also torsion fields. Maria Anderson says, I love your show, even though I'm a flat earther. Right. So again, this just shows you the cosmic level of creation. It turns out there's 3 of these, 3 high. That's what makes the supergalaxy. And so it's that way throughout the whole supergalaxy that makes the known universe. That it's all clusters of these geometries. And so the whole universe is vibrating in some sort of geometric harmony like that. And so this crop circle, I believe, is a visualization of that sacred geometry. So we have Bataner and Florido were the main guys who put this together. This is Eduardo Bataner at his computer here. Looks like a really nice avuncular figure. And they wrote this paper called The Egg Carton Universe on a Caltech website. Large-scale structure and magnetic fields. We're not going to go through all this, but this is where they actually show you the ideal scheme of what they're calling the egg carton universe, formed with octahedrons only connecting at their vertexes. And then there's where that image shows up, the 2 large octahedrons closer to the Milky Way. It's really, really incredible. It was also described by Einasto as the universal honeycomb. This is Dr. Jan Einasto. And here he is with a UNESCO Physics Prize. And so he wrote a paper called, Does the Universe Have a Honeycomb Structure? Clusters of galaxies and rich superclusters form a quasi-regular lattice similar in structure to honeycombs. Really, really interesting, isn't it? So there's his diagram of it. And again, it's much easier to look at it this way. And so here's his paper, Does the Universe Have a Honeycomb Structure? And so clusters of galaxies are concentrated in elongated filamentary chains, and the space between them is void of galaxies. So this is not just gravity that's doing this, this is consciousness. And it's all interconnected. Because again, our thoughts create geometric patterns. And so I'll just give you a very quick taste of this again. The Science Alert website, April 21st, 2018, about the human brain actually using the same geometry, where it said, last year, neuroscientists used a classic branch of math in a totally new way to peer into the structure of our brains. What they discovered is the brain is full of multidimensional geometric structures operating in as many as 11 dimensions. Wow. So as above, so below. The cosmos is mirrored within the brain. It's consciousness. Geometry is consciousness. Produced by the Blue Brain Project, a Swiss research initiative with supercomputers, using algebraic topology to describe the properties of objects and spaces regardless of how they change shape. They found that groups of neurons connect into cliques, and the number of neurons in a clique would lead to a higher dimensional geometric object, mathematical dimensional concept. And the neuroscientist Henry Markham was the head guy, and he said, we found a world we had never imagined. So there he is. And so again, this is really, really interesting because there are tens of millions of geometries, even in a small speck of the brain, that have up to 7-pointed geometry, 7 dimensions. Some networks even have 11 points, 11 dimensions. And it can zoom into structures and find zoom into networks and find hidden structures, trees in the forest, see empty spaces and clearings all at the same time. These clearings or cavities are critically important for brain function. And when we gave the virtual brain tissue a stimulus in a computer, neurons reacted in a highly organized geometric matter. It is as if the brain reacts to a stimulus by building and then tearing down towers of multidimensional blocks, starting with rods, then planks, then cubes, and more complex geometries of 4D, 5D, etc., said one of the members of the team, Ran Levy from Aberdeen University. And there he is. And in this picture, he looks an awful lot like my friend Jude, which is great, you know. So it says the progression of activity through the brain resembles a multidimensional sandcastle that materializes out of the sand and then disintegrates. These findings provide a tantalizing new picture of how the brain processes information, but the researchers point out it's not yet clear what makes the cliques and cavities form in their highly specific ways. This was all totally anticipated in the law of one model, which is great. So let's look at the data here. 5-neuron clique again. You see there's a star shape to that. But this is where it really gets interesting. You see the same tetrahedron that we see as the shape of the whole beginning of the universe is actually appearing, millions of these in just a small speck of the brain. Wow, right? I mean, it's so amazing. I can never get tired of talking about this. And there's your octahedron under A. Same shape once again. They didn't find all the other ones, but then you look at it over there on the right. In fact, we can once again zoom in on that a little bit more. Let me do that for you right now. And that'll make it so you can really, really see what's going on here. We'll make it extra special for you guys. All right. So again, here we go. Whoops. Here we go with it on the individual level, the wider shot, and then you look at this, you can see all of that sacred geometry. This is actually brainwave activity. We're looking at the brainwave activity inside the brain, and it's again showing us this geometry. This is incredible. And it says that there are tens of millions of these objects, even in a small speck of the brain, up through 7 dimensions. So all this ties back with the Hebrew Star of David, with all of these fascinating things. The positive groups want us to know that the universe is alive, that there was one infinite creator that manifested us in a perfect pattern. We are as above, so below. We are the image of God. We are made in the image of God, whatever you want to call it, the creator. It's the geometry of the universe, of the largest superclusters of galaxies, is manifesting inside the human brain in the way the neurons are firing. We're looking at biblical contacts of extraterrestrials showing up, giving us these major world religions. So yes, there is a cosmic battle going on for your soul, and the true freedom comes in liberation, in understanding who you are and what you are, that one infinite creator manifested you. You are a child of God. You are a perfect being. This is not a question for the positive groups. It is a fact. And the battle for your soul is allowed to play out on Earth. Both of these sides have the right to present their viewpoints to you. And there's something in there called the rules, which allow you to be pitched by both sides of the equation. Your future is determined by your own free will. And so that's a very, very important point, and that's the point that actually we are going to end on, because we have to cut the show at some point. So, but first I want to get into some summary stuff and really tie this all together for you, because it's quite an amazing amount of content we've had today, isn't it? But I want to keep it to the 3.5 hour mark if at all possible. Okay. Sorry, I know some of you guys probably want it to go on forever, and I get that, but let's go back over here to camera 5. So we're at 3 hours and 25 minutes. So yes, it's a beautiful time to be alive, and we're really learning a lot here. We've learned a lot today. This has been a very exciting examination of sacred geometry, sacred science, extraterrestrial beings, the labyrinth in Egypt, this huge UFO that's in there, all this kind of interesting stuff. And Trado111 says I could do another 5 hours, 11:11. An incredible show, says 84 Sophie Immediate. Well, I'm glad to do it. I'm glad I got to the stuff about the octahedrons, because that's amazing. So again, there is an AI agenda. It does seem like it's real, and the main focus is focusing on your meditation, focusing on your spiritual work, focusing on dedicated, loving energy and dedicated practice. So great show today, David, says Logitech Gaming. Awesome show, says Beverly Adams. Today, Archangel Michael asked us to pray every day for peace, hope, unity, and love. Let's do that. Let's get into our global peace meditation right now, because we know that with the power of our thoughts, we can unify together and create great change. So here we go. I'd like you to put both feet flat on the floor now. Take a nice deep breath and just let it go. Feeling the calming presence of the one infinite creator. Just letting yourself breathe. Understanding that we have never been left alone, that the universe is alive, intelligent, and conscious, that it has our back. There are so many ways in which we can be made whole and pure. We have protection from the higher forces. Just breathe in and feel your mind calming, feel your mind getting more and more relaxed. Breathing in that living radiance of the cosmos. The radiance that sustains you, keeps you alive, fills your soul with its blessing. Call it what you want, but there is an intelligence to the universe. And when we can step away from our devices, step away from the hustle and bustle of life, tune in to the moment. The moment contains love. This is the great teaching. You may choose to call that love Christ. You may choose to call that love the Buddha, or whatever else works for you. This Christ consciousness reverberates throughout the universe, creating the universe as a sound, as a light, as a vibration. Let there be light, and there was light. Geometric resonance that also appears in your own brain. Such beauty, such majesty that the universe has, that you are created in the image of the one infinite creator. that your body is actually a perfect sacred temple. Breathing in, feeling that love, feeling that radiance now, feeling the glory of what it means to be alive in today's world, and understanding how deeply and thoroughly you are appreciated by this heavenly host of cosmic beings. Yes, there is a cosmic battle for your soul playing out on Earth. Yes, there are positive and negative forces, both exist. Yes, there is an artificial intelligence that is seeking to gain negative energy. And yes, apparently we lost a planet, 2 planets in our solar system because of this. We're not going to let that happen again. In today's world, we can be safe by learning about what's really going on, making sure that we do not adhere to any negative agendas, but maintaining our positivity, maintaining our focus, learning what it takes to be alive in the now, to be here as souls in this time of communion, becoming so deeply relaxed now, just letting your breath follow that path of the breath. Follow it deeper and deeper in. Let yourself just relax and be more and more at peace. Feeling that truth, that way, that life. Feeling the resonance of the Christ consciousness flowing through you. All of these glorious gifts that have been given by the universe to help us grow, to help us revivify, to help us renew the promise of who and what we really are, and why we were brought here, and what is the divine reason for our existence. There is nothing we need to fear, for life is a benevolent structure. It's designed for our own attainment, designed for our own enlightenment, designed for us to be brought through a series of stages of initiation that we can eventually once again become whole. We can be reunified with that which we seem to have lost. We can delve deeply into the path of meditation, breathing in healing light energy for the planet Earth, feeling all of those around us glorified, seeing all the wars and the stresses, the tensions of the earth being alleviated, bringing us into this higher concept of who and what it means to be human, who we really are in the here and now. We are so grateful for this time to be together. We are so grateful for the work that we share each week, each Sunday, and we are entirely happy with all that you have done for us, Father, Mother, God. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your wisdom. We thank you for the hope that you give us, the hope in a new tomorrow, the hope that surpasses all of our own fears, our own negativities, and brings us into a greater sense of our own being and our own truthfulness. For we know in the greatest sense that you are the light, you are the love, you are the one infinite creator. This is as it was, as it is now, and as it always shall be, and nothing and no one can ever take that from us. And so it is. All right, we're all together now. Let's come back out of meditation. Breathe into the room a little bit. This is the best show. I will catch up on the recording, says Peter. Great show. I'm going to rewatch it tomorrow. Peace be with us all, says Gasson Towen. Many thanks. I learned so much. Great times ahead. I want to thank you guys for watching. This has been an incredible day, incredible show, and we'll keep it at 3:33. I will see you on the next round. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week, if at all possible. Thank you very much. Bye for now. Oops. There we go. And scene.